Chapter 672. A few days later, Qin Shujian stayed in the eastern part of the city and basically never came out. At the same time, the remaining clans also sent over the materials for the forging. Boom! The earth shook. The heaven-piercing ape, which was thousands of feet tall, strode over like a mountain. Every step he took caused the ground to tremble. Such a change. Naturally, it attracted the attention of most of the cultivators in the human territory. I am under the orders of the Demon Emperor to escort the required materials. I hope that the human race can send experts to accept them. The ape's voice was not loud, but it shook the clouds and dissipated them. In the East City, Huazhan stepped on the air and appeared in front of the ape. I am the city lord of the East City. Just leave the demon clan materials to me. All right. The ape did not say too much. He loosened his clenched fists and then revealed hundreds of storage rings inside. Vital essence surged. Hundreds of storage rings flew up into the air. Huazhan's divine will swept across and directly covered the hundreds of storage rings. Then, he used his vital essence to control them and imprison them in the air. A moment later, he used his divine telekinesis to check the items inside before putting away the 100 storage rings. The human clan has received the materials of the demon clan. You can reply to the demon emperor. My emperor has one more thing that he wants me to ask. What is it? When will the Qin emperor start forging the divine weapon? My emperor needs an accurate time, the ape said in a muffled voice. Hearing that, Huazhan looked troubled. It was also at this moment. A faint voice came from the East City. Go back and tell the demon emperor that Ben Huang will forge the weapon in 10 days. As soon as he finished speaking, the ape's expression changed and he hurriedly said, I will definitely pass on the Qin emperor's words. Goodbye. After saying that, he immediately turned around and left. Then, Huazhan flew back and handed over all the resources of the demon clan to Qin Shujian. Qin emperor, after the demon clan sent the things over, all the resources of the myriad clans have been in place. Qin Shujian smiled faintly. Then, he looked at Huazhan and said, From today onwards, the East City doesn't need to be empty anymore. You should continue to be the city lord of the East City. If Ben Huang is not mistaken, you should be breaking through to the 7th tier of the celestial being realm right now. Yes, Huazhan didn't hide anything. Qin Shujian said, there are too few human almighties above the 7th level of the celestial being realm. If you can successfully break through, it will be a good thing for the human race. Cultivate well. I understand. Qin Shujian picked up the teacup beside him. Seeing this, Huazhan tactfully retreated. After Huazhan left, only then did Qin Shujian take out the heaven list. At this moment, in the space of the heaven roll, there was already a huge pile of materials. This time, the top-notch divine weapon that was to be forged to bear the weight of the 10,000 tribe battlefield would naturally require extraordinary materials. The materials provided by the various clans. Basically, they were all at the 9th stage. It's a pity that not all of these materials are from the human race. Otherwise, the strength of the human race can be improved by a lot. Qin Shujian took a deep breath. To be honest, this was the first time he saw so many 9th stage materials. He was also tempted. However, Qin Shujian did not intend to keep these materials. If he really kept these materials, the various clans would probably go crazy. When the time came, the allied forces of the 10,000 tribes would attack the human race again. Besides, in Qin Shujian's opinion, the opening of the 10,000 tribe battlefield would benefit the human race the most. Since that was the case, there was no reason to destroy it. However, the forging of the divine weapon does not require so many materials. I can keep some of them. Qin Shujian smiled slightly. The materials here. It was enough to empty more than a dozen small clans. Even if some of them were left, it would be enough for him to earn. For the first time, Qin Shujian realized that blacksmiths were really profitable. After keeping the heaven list, he directly stayed in the city lord's mansion. In the next few days, he did not step out of the city lord's mansion at all. 10 days later, Qin Shujian rose into the air from the East City and directly left the human territory. South Continent. Nanming Fire Territory. Rumor had it that a great war broke out in ancient times. A supreme expert of the Fire Clan fell here and finally set the mountains on fire. For millions of years, the fire burned fiercely, but it never went out. Over time, the Naming Fire Territory was formed. This was also the purpose of Qin Shujian forging the divine weapon this time. This is the Naming Fire Territory. Qin Shujian stood in the void and looked at the eternal flames that covered millions of miles of mountains below. There was a look of emotion in his eyes. Dark blue flames. It burned the mountains, and the scorching temperature even affected the void and sky. Even if he was standing here, Qin Shujian could feel the scorching aura. However, as his strength increased, this scorching aura no longer had much of an effect on him. Looking at the Naming Fire Territory, Qin Shujian said, "Legend has it that the Naming Fire Territory was formed here in ancient times when an expert of the Fire Clan was killed here. Senior, do you think this rumor is true?" "It's true," Godslayer said. "In the past, in order to subdue the various clans in the world, the ancient demon emperor once fought with many experts, including the Fire Clan. At that time, the Fire Clan was very powerful. The patriarch of the Fire Clan was a supreme expert who had reached the 9th level of the immortal realm. In that battle, the demon emperor killed the patriarch of the Fire Clan here, but he retreated and did not forcibly subdue the Fire Clan. Some people speculated that before the patriarch of the Fire Clan died, the demon emperor was also seriously injured. In my opinion, this is quite likely. 9th level of the immortal realm." Qin Shujian looked at the mountains covered in flames below, and his expression became solemn. No matter what, this fallen expert of the Fire Clan was really powerful. From ancient times to the present, it had been at least tens of millions of years, but the flames were still not extinguished. Since the Fire Clan is so strong, how was it destroyed? I don't know. In ancient times, the Fire Clan still existed, although their strength had declined a little. Now that they have been destroyed, I guess they didn't survive the ancient calamity. The God-slaying saber said indifferently. Whether the Fire Clan was destroyed or not had little to do with him. After all, he was a divine weapon of the human clan, not the Fire Clan. Godslayer's words made Qin Shujian have some guesses in his heart. The Fire Clan. He was afraid that they were not destroyed by the demon abyss in ancient times, but by the Emperor of Heaven's saber. If that was not the case, it was hard to explain why the Fire Clan would die so cleanly. Qin Shujian stood in the void, silently feeling the heat of the Naming Fire Territory, but he did not take any action. He was waiting for the arrival of the other emperors. Half an hour later, some emperors came by stepping on the air. Looking at the bright stars in the sky, Qin Shujian knew who came almost without seeing the person. Emperor Qin. Star Emperor slightly cupped his hands and said with a faint smile. Qin Shujian said, "Star Emperor came fast enough? No matter how fast I am, I can't be faster than you. Refining a divine weapon is a major event for all clans. Ben Huang dare not to be late." Star Emperor smiled faintly. There was no hatred in his attitude. Instead, he was quite gentle. Qin Shujian also glanced at Star Emperor strangely. He almost killed him with one saber. If it were an ordinary person, he would not immediately attack him, but he would not hide his anger. But he was with Star Emperor. He could not detect any anger at all. For this, Qin Shujian also became more serious about Star Emperor. What a deep mind. He is a good opponent. If there is a chance, I have to find a way to eliminate him. A trace of killing intent rose in his heart. A dog that bites does not bark. Qin Shujian was not worried about Star Emperor's anger, but his attitude made him more cautious. Instead of waiting for him to secretly stab him, he felt it was better for him to strike first and gain the upper hand. Of course, he did not mean to do it now. The most important thing now was to open up the 10,000 clans battlefield. If he killed Star Emperor, it would definitely arouse the fear and hostility of other emperors, which was not good for the human clan. When Qin Shujian's killing intent rose in his heart, Star Emperor also sensed some danger in the dark. This warning sign caused him to be on full alert. At this moment, the other emperors also came one after another. Seeing this, Star Emperor could not say anything more. He could only stand aside and suppress the impulse in his heart. The Monster Clan, the Blood Eldar. the Ice Clan, the Moon Clan, the Soul Protector Clan. More than half of the emperors of various clans had arrived. A large number of experts gathered in the sky above the Nanming Fire territory. The combination of their powerful auras seemed to suppress the eternal flames below. Then, a golden-winged rock tore through the void. The moment it arrived, it transformed into a human body. Emperor Qin, the Golden Rock Emperor, greeted and then looked away at the expressionless monster emperor. The killing intent in his eyes was not concealed. The last time the monster emperor ambushed him, he had not had the chance to settle the score with the other party. This grudge, the Golden Rock Emperor would remember it. In the current situation, he was not afraid that the monster emperor would kill him. So, the Golden Rock Emperor's killing intent and dissatisfaction towards the monster emperor were almost undisguised. The emperors of many clans also noticed this. However, no one said anything. Although the monster emperor's ambush of the Golden Rock Emperor was a secret, in fact, there was no such thing as a true immortal's attack. Although the news did not spread widely, it spread a lot in secret. At least, the emperors of various clans all received this news. However, no one expressed any thoughts about this matter. After all, this was a matter between the Golden Rock Clan, the Monster Clan, and the Human Clan. It had nothing to do with them. All the emperors have arrived. Ben Huang will not waste any more time. From now on, with the Nanming Fire territory as the center, no living creature is allowed to approach within a radius of 10,000 miles. I hope that all the emperors will protect us. Otherwise, if the forging fails, Ben Huang will not be responsible. Qin Shujian said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the soul-protecting emperor said, "Don't worry, Emperor Qin. We will naturally protect you and ensure that no cultivators will disturb the forging of the divine weapon." Then let's begin. Qin Shujian nodded. Immediately after, those emperors of the 10th level of the celestial being realm immediately left the sky above the Nanming Fire territory and went to the boundary outside the fire territory to guard. This was something that could not be helped. The Nanming Fire territory was formed by the fall of a 9th level immortal. Even after millions of years, the temperature here was still terrifyingly hot. Qin Shujian and those true immortals were naturally not afraid of the temperature in the void. But those emperors of the 10th level of the celestial being realm, it was not an easy task to resist the temperature of the fire territory. This could also prove it. The strength of the flames in the Nanming Fire territory had reached an unimaginable level. The emperors retreated. Qin Shujian took out the heaven list from his sea of consciousness. Then, he threw the materials into the void one by one. Immediately after, with the control of his divine thought, he shackled all the materials in the air. At this moment, all the emperors turned their attention to Qin Shujian. Facing these gazes, Qin Shujian did not care. With a wave of his hand, a strong wind formed by immortal core power whistled past. The eternal flames of the Nanming Fire territory below rose with the strong wind and swept all the materials in like a fire dragon. Demon Emperor, take action to maintain the connection between the void flame and the Nanming Fire territory, he suddenly shouted in a low voice. Hearing this, the Demon Emperor hesitated for a moment, but still used immortal core power to maintain the fire tornado from the Nanming Fire territory. Qin Shujian fixed his attention on the materials that were about to be melted. Then, he said in a deep voice, Wind Emperor, take action to fuel the fire. No problem. The Emperor of the Wind Clan took a step forward. With a wave of his hand, endless strong wind blew past, causing the flames in the void to soar. Boom! The flames soared, and the temperature had already incinerated the void. The materials placed in the flames also melted at a speed visible to the naked eye in this terrifying temperature. Qin Shujian did not move at all, silently watching the changes in the materials. An hour passed. He suddenly said, reduce the wind by 30%. Don't be too strong. Maintain the current level of the Demon Emperor and don't deviate. Next, Ben Huang will start the official forging. If the Demon Emperor's immortal core power is insufficient, you can ask the other emperors to help. But Ben Huang has a request, that is, the immortal core power to maintain the flames must not be cut off, or the forging will definitely fail. After that, Qin Shujian did not wait for the Demon Emperor to reply, and then used a mortal core power to condense a substantial sledgehammer. Then, a powerful divine sense broke out of his body and transformed into a huge spirit god incarnation. In the next moment, the spirit god incarnation grabbed the handle of the sledgehammer and smashed it heavily towards the melted materials. Every time the sledgehammer smashed down, the flames were all scattered in all directions. The Demon Emperor's expression was a little ugly, but he had to concentrate to maintain the operation of the flames. This forging. If the forging failed because of him, then the Demon Clan would also get into a lot of trouble. After officially entering the forging state, Qin Shujian had already abandoned the changes in his surroundings. In his eyes, there was only the materials in front of him. Every time the sledgehammer fell, he would put the runes into the liquid materials. Every time a rune was inserted, a rune would appear. The liquid formed by the melted materials would have some subtle changes. The forging process. It was not very fast, nor was it very slow. At this moment, all the Emperor's attention fell on Qin Shujian, for the number one forging master of the 4 continents. Their hearts were filled with curiosity. However, the Emperors were not proficient in forging. Although they could know the mystery of the runes that Qin Shujian cast, they could not understand much. On the contrary, the Demon Emperor and the Wind Emperor were very close, and they were assisting from the side. When they saw the runes being cast, they had some understanding in their hearts. Time passed bit by bit. In 7 days, Qin Shujian did not make the next move. He had been constantly taking out new materials from the heaven board and throwing them in. Then, he melted them and put them into the runes. And in these 7 days, the Wind Emperor and the Demon Emperor did not stop for a moment. As time passed, the melted material liquid was already 100,000 miles in size. Under the support of the flames, it was like a blooming fire lotus. All of a sudden, Qin Shujian shouted in a deep voice, "All emperors in the 10th level of the Celestial Being Realm and the Nirvana Realm, take turns to put a drop of blood essence in every 15 minutes. Everyone just needs to put it in once." Hearing this, many emperors looked hesitant, and no one moved rashly. Blood essence. To any cultivator, it was a precious item. However, they did not remain silent for long. The Black Emperor directly threw out a drop of blood essence and said with a laugh, "It's just a little bit of blood essence. Look at how afraid you are. You're really embarrassing the emperors. Since you're so afraid, Ben Huang will go first." Hearing this, the emperors' faces darkened. How could they not know that the Black Stone Condor clan was already a vassal of the human race? The Black Emperor's actions. That would be a slap in the face. The blood essence flew out. Qin Shujian directly reached out and absorbed it. Then, it fused into the material. As the Black Emperor's blood essence fused, a huge black stone condor's shadow rose from the flames, letting out a loud cry that resounded throughout the Great Thousand. After a moment, the shadow dissipated, and everything returned to its original state. However, when one looked carefully, there was an indelible imprint on the material liquid. After 15 minutes, the Dog Emperor contributed a drop of blood essence. As an ally of the human race, he had to stand up at this time. The same blood essence fused. The same shadow appeared. The difference was, just now, it was the black stone condor. This time, it was the 8-headed giant hound. Its roar shook the world. The Earth Emperor said in a deep voice, "The 9-headed hound clan broke through to the true immortal realm and only condensed the 9th head. Now that the Dog Emperor's power is not weak, I'm afraid it won't be long before you become an immortal. Maybe not as fast as you, Earth Emperor." The Dog Emperor smiled faintly, neither admitting nor denying. At their level, they had already taken a step into the Celestial Being 10th level. It would not be strange even if they became an immortal. But the problem was, however, it was not an easy task to take the final step. Perhaps in the next moment, or it could be thousands of years of polishing. Therefore, no matter how confident the Dog Emperor was, he was not sure that he could take this step before the Earth Emperor. The two had a simple conversation. After 15 minutes, the Earth Emperor did not hesitate and fused a drop of blood essence. As the 3 emperors' blood essence fell, Tribulation clouds gathered in the sky. In the next moment, then, a shocking thunderbolt struck down. Obviously, even if it was only in the initial stage of forging, when it was fused with the blood essence of the three Nirvana Realm Emperors, it directly reached the level of a top spiritual weapon. As the lightning fell, Qin Shujian's expression did not change. The sledgehammer fell with a bang, forcibly suppressing the lightning and fusing it into the material. After 15 minutes, no emperors moved. Qin Shujian shouted coldly and angrily, "Continue. If the forging fails today, Bin Huang promises to slaughter you." In the cold words, it contained endless killing intent. Those emperors below the true immortal realm all had extremely ugly expressions at this time. In the face of Qin Shujian's threat, they wanted to refute, but when they thought of the other party's strength, they forcibly suppressed it. To put it bluntly, they did not dare. Next, Metal Emperor. Qin Shujian did not bother to wait and directly called out the name. As soon as he finished speaking, the Metal Clan Emperor did not dare to hesitate. He immediately forced a drop of blood essence and fused it into the material, with the Metal Emperor's help. At this time, the emperors of the other clans did not dare to hesitate too much. Every 15 minutes passed, every time an emperor fused his blood essence, and with the fusion of each emperor's blood essence, the lightning tribulation in the sky had become even more violent. Rumble. The power of the lightning poured down. This power had already reached a certain level of strength. However, Qin Shujian's expression did not change. The vital essence sledgehammer suppressed all the lightning that struck down. Boom! The long river of laws broke through the air and lingered above the vital essence sledgehammer. Instantly, the vital essence sledgehammer circulated, and its power increased several times out of thin air. Bang! Another hammer fell, and the lightning dragon was forced into the liquefied material by this force. In the next moment, Qin Shujian formed a seal with both hands. Runes were born from the void, and then integrated into it in an orderly manner. In an instant, the liquid of the material rolled, and then gradually changed from liquefaction to solidification. At the same time, a powerful aura had already spread out from the divine weapon. Until now, the forging of the divine weapon had been going on for a month. All the emperors of the 10th level and the Nirvana realm had already fused their blood essence into it, but the lightning in the sky did not stop for a moment. The demon emperor's face was also a little pale. There was no other way. Continuously maintaining the flame for a month was also a considerable consumption of immortal elemental energy. After all, the flames of the Naming Fire Domain were not ordinary flames. Even if a true immortal fell into it, there was a possibility of dying. In this way, not only did the demon emperor have to control and maintain the flame, but he also had to use immortal essence to protect himself to ensure that he would not be injured. Naturally, the consumption was great. Bin Huang needs to recover. Please take over Xueling Huang, the demon emperor said. Hearing that, Xueling Huang did not refuse. He flew closer and said, "Then I'll leave it to Bin Huang." As soon as he finished speaking, immortal essence emerged. At the same time, the demon emperor withdrew his immortal essence. There was almost no gap between the two of them. It could be said that the connection was perfect, but this was not something to be surprised about. After all, both of them were true immortals, and their control of immortal essence had reached a powerful level. Soon, another half a month passed. At this time, the liquid of the material had completely solidified. The divine weapon also changed from its original size to 1,000,000 miles in size after fusing with the essence and blood of the emperors. At this point, Qin Shujian also had to push his spiritual god to the extreme to maintain the forging in front of him. Along the way, he also swallowed 2 hallow pills to replenish his consumption. However, the other emperors looked at the divine weapon forged by Qin Shujian with a strange expression, because in their eyes, this divine weapon was completely different from the ones they had seen before. It was more like an ordinary piece of iron. That's right, an iron piece. That was a piece of iron that was 1,000,000 miles in size and could block out the sky and the sun. If there was any difference between it and an ordinary piece of iron, then the difference was, an ordinary piece of iron was not so big, and its aura was not so terrifying. In front of the iron piece in front of them, those emperors who were at the 10th level of the celestial being realm felt an oppressive aura. It was as if the iron piece had fallen. He was able to easily suppress him. Dog Emperor, can you tell what level this godly weapon is at? The Black Emperor took a deep breath, and his expression was also very solemn. Although the divine weapon in front of him seemed ordinary, its aura had already reached a terrifying level. It was just that the divine weapon was powerful. It was also a normal thing. After all, it had fused with the essence and blood of so many emperors. Even if it was an ordinary item, it should have become a supreme treasure. Hearing this, the Dog Emperor shook his head and said, "It's hard to say. This divine weapon hasn't entered the category of Taoist artifacts, so its strength can't be determined through the Taoist seal. However, Bin Huang can be sure that if this divine weapon succeeds, it won't be much weaker than the Heaven List." Although the Heaven List was a Taoist artifact, in his opinion, it might not be comparable to the divine weapon in front of him. Moreover, so far, the divine weapon had not been completed, and its power was far from its peak. Another half a month passed. Xueling Huang suddenly shouted, "Feather Emperor, please make a move." "Sure." The Feather Emperor took a step forward and arrived beside Xueling Huang. Just like Xueling Huang, he was also an expert who had become an immortal. In fact, it was normal. Without reaching the level of a true immortal, he was not qualified to control the divine fire in the Nanming Fire territory. The Feather Emperor arrived and immediately replaced Xueling Huang. At the same time, Qin Shujian swallowed a hollow pill. After recovering some vitality, he said in a deep voice, "Soul Protection Emperor, give Bin Huang a drop of essence and blood." Hearing this, the Soul Protection Emperor did not dare to hesitate and immediately forced out a drop of essence and blood. Qin Shujian simply waved his hand. The essence and blood of the Soul Protection Emperor directly fused into the iron piece. Boom! As the essence and blood of the Soul Protection Emperor fused, the iron piece seemed to have some kind of sublimation, and its aura suddenly became more terrifying. A large amount of Taoist rhymes followed the essence and blood. They were all absorbed by the iron piece. The heavenly thunder tribulation that had dissipated condensed again at this time. However, compared to the previous heavenly thunder tribulation, this time, the heavenly thunder tribulation, it was a destructive black and red color. The heavenly thunder tribulation clouds covered 1,000,000 miles, and the power that could destroy heaven and earth made the emperors below the level of a true immortal turn pale. Without thinking, they all retreated outside the range of the heavenly thunder tribulation. What a powerful heavenly thunder tribulation! Before the heavenly thunder tribulation fell, Bin Huang had already sensed the threat of death. This heavenly thunder tribulation has probably reached the level of a true immortal. No, it hasn't reached the level of a true immortal. It should be at the level of a half immortal. Some emperors were shocked, while others were calm. But no matter what, facing the heavenly thunder tribulation clouds that were condensing in the sky, none of the emperors dared to relax. The Golden Rock Emperor stared at the heavenly thunder tribulation and said in a deep voice, "It's already a half-immortal heavenly thunder tribulation now. It will definitely transform into a true, immortal, heavenly thunder tribulation later. It seems that the forging this time is not easy. True immortal heavenly thunder tribulation. In other words, even a true immortal might not be able to withstand it." The Golden Rock Emperor was very confident in Qin Shujian's strength. However, the problem was that the other party had not confirmed the Tao and become an immortal. It would not be easy for a divine weapon to survive the true immortal heavenly thunder tribulation. The other emperors heard the Golden Rock Emperor's words. Their expressions were even more solemn. Up until now, no one wanted Qin Shujian to forge a divine weapon, because other than the human race, all the clans had invested a lot this time. If the forging failed, then they would really lose everything. On this side, Qin Shujian also sensed the power of the heavenly thunder tribulation. In the next moment, he used celestial body. It's just a half-immortal heavenly thunder tribulation. You want to stop Bin Huang from forging a weapon? He looked at the heavenly thunder tribulation and sneered. At this moment, The heavenly thunder tribulation seemed to have sensed the provocation and finally stopped brewing. The destructive black, heavenly thunder tribulation struck down with a loud bang. Crack! The black, heavenly thunder tribulation represented death and destruction. Wherever it passed, the void would be turned into dust. It was a vast power. It also spread out in all directions. However, all the cultivators who felt this power had a grave expression on their faces. As for the cultivators of the clans who were close to the Naming Fire domain, when the destructive heavenly thunder tribulation struck down, they were so scared that their bodies trembled. They didn't dare to move at all. Bang! There was a long river of laws surging in the true essence sledgehammer. Immediately, it smashed towards the black, heavenly thunder tribulation. A terrifying power erupted. The destructive black, heavenly thunder tribulation was instantly shattered by the sledgehammer. Terrifying energy converged. It made the power of the iron piece even more powerful. 3 days later, 9 destructive heavenly thunder tribulations struck down. These heavenly thunder tribulations that were enough to seriously injure or even kill a half-immortal were all suppressed by Qin Shujian and turned into nourishment for the divine weapon. The runes were inserted. Qin Shujian shouted coldly, "Continue." The next true immortal, fuse with the essence blood. As soon as he finished speaking, Star Emperor immediately took action and fused his essence blood into the divine weapon. Compared to the essence blood of the Soul Protection Emperor, Star Emperor was an orthodox true immortal expert, and the power of his essence blood was even more terrifying. As the essence blood fused, the heavenly thunder tribulation that was about to dissipate condensed again. However, compared to the last heavenly thunder tribulation, this heavenly thunder tribulation was even more terrifying. The heavenly might that seemed to crush the heavens and the earth. It made all the emperor's expressions change. True immortal heavenly thunder tribulation. If the half-immortal heavenly thunder tribulation was within their range of tolerance, then the appearance of the true immortal heavenly thunder tribulation made them completely unable to interfere. Not only them, even the sovereigns who had become immortals had serious expressions on their faces at this moment, although they were already true immortals. But the true immortal heavenly thunder tribulation was enough to threaten a true immortal. In the face of such a heavenly thunder tribulation, no one was confident that they could escape unscathed. However, Qin Shujian's expression was as usual. As the heavenly thunder tribulation struck down, another long river of laws broke through the sky. The power law. Instantly, his strength directly soared a lot. At this time, although the power of the heavenly thunder tribulation had reached the true immortal level, it was only at the initial true immortal level. Under the effect of the power law and the casting law, it couldn't play a big role. Rumble. The heavenly thunder tribulation continued to strike down, and the terrifying power overflowed and turned into a vast thunder prison. The divine weapon iron piece was soaked in the thunder prison and was not damaged at all. Not only that, as time passed, the power of the iron piece also became more and more powerful. Similarly, 3 days passed. The heavenly thunder tribulation also disappeared. Qin Shujian took the hallow pill and looked at the next true immortal. Don't waste time. Hearing this, the true immortal immediately dripped his blood essence into it. Next, in the Naming Fire territory, for more than 2 months, the sky was covered by the heavenly thunder tribulation of a true immortal, with the fire territory as the center. In the area with a radius of millions of miles, except for the emperors, all the other cultivators had evacuated. The heavenly thunder tribulation of a true immortal was too powerful. The overflowing power was no longer something that ordinary cultivators could resist. Even those emperors who had not reached the Tao realm. In the face of this power, they were also forced to retreat far away. Boom! When the last heavenly thunder tribulation fell, endless rays of light spread out from the divine weapon. In an instant, it dispersed all the tribulation clouds within 1,000,000 miles. When the tribulation clouds dispersed, the surrounding darkland also instantly became clear. The metal piece, which was 1,000,000 miles in size, floated in the air, emanating an aura that was as vast as the abyss. Everyone who sensed this aura had a drastic change in expression. Then, they looked at the divine weapon with burning eyes. Everyone could understand that the power of this divine armament had already reached an inestimable level. It had even reached the level of an 8-9 Seal Dao artifact. Such a supreme treasure, everyone would be tempted. Even the demon emperor, bloodling Huang, and other true immortals. At this moment, they were all a little restless in their hearts. However, they had an oath agreement first. At this time, whoever fought for it would be courting death. The divine weapon has not been completed yet. Qin Shujian's voice was slightly weak. Then, he looked at the Ice Emperor and the Moon Emperor and said, "The Ice Clan and the Moon Clan are both extremely cold and extremely mean. The two of you, please quench the divine weapon." Quenching the divine weapon. This was the final key. Hearing this, the Ice Emperor and the Moon Emperor looked at each other, and then they acted at the same time. Frost spread in the void, and in an instant, it was about to completely cover the divine weapon. At the same time, the moonlight poured down, like a river washing over the divine weapon. Where the moonlight passed, the frost disappeared. Soon, the divine weapon seemed to have been washed clean, and its originally fierce aura became deep and heavy. Then, Qin Shujian forced out a drop of his essence blood and instantly dripped it on the divine weapon. Then, the divine weapon vibrated. The divine weapon that was 1,000,000 miles in size was visibly expanding with a power that was visible to the naked eye. At the moment when the divine weapon expanded, on the divine weapon that looked like an iron piece, mountains and earth veins were born, as if an expert had created it out of thin air. At this moment, all the emperors flew up, directly crossing the bottom of the divine weapon, and came to the top to see the mountains and earth veins being born with their own eyes. That's the territory of the Ice Clan. The Ice Emperor looked at a certain place, and the expression in his eyes suddenly changed. As the Emperor of the Ice Clan, how could he not recognize the territory of the Ice Clan? Although this territory was many times smaller than the actual territory of the Ice Clan, he recognized it at a glance. The Ice Emperor's words awakened the other emperors. They began to look away from the mountains and earth veins, and began to carefully observe the changes of the earth veins. Soon, they found the territories of their respective clans. That's the territory of the Earth Dragons, the territory of the Star Clan. P.S. I just finished writing and I'm going to sleep. Good night. Support the original version. I'm really decent on Chidian Chinese Network. Chapter 673. The divine weapon evolved into mountains and earth veins. It had become a small world of its own. Qin Shujian said, "The blood of the emperors is the foundation of the evolution of the mountains and earth veins." Now that the divine weapon has been successfully forged and the 10,000 races battlefield has been completed, the next step is for the various clans to settle in. According to the agreement, the emperors and perfected immortals of the various clans are not allowed to make a move in the 10,000 races battlefield, let alone affect the trend of the battlefield. Apart from that, if a clan loses its territory on the battlefield, its territory on the 4 continents must be evacuated within 7 days and let the winner take over. These were the rules. They had been mentioned during the meeting of the 10,000 races. Now that Qin Shujian had said it, he was merely repeating it. After that, Xueling Huang said, "When do you plan to officially open the 10,000 races battlefield, Emperor Qin? It will take some time for the various clans to settle in. How about this? We'll officially open the battlefield in a month. Before that, the various clans can send cultivators to settle here. However, within a month, no clan is allowed to make a move without permission." Qin Shujian said, "After a month, we'll officially start." A month. It was neither long nor short. Although the various clans had been preparing for the 10,000 races battlefield, they were not fully prepared. Now, there was an extra month. This was not a bad thing. Therefore, no one objected to Qin Shujian's words. After the discussion, the emperors of the various clans left. Qin Shujian glanced at the 10,000 races battlefield, stepped on the void, and disappeared. At this moment, the Naming Fire territory in the South Continent had been severely exhausted during the few months of forging the divine weapon. The fire territory that was originally 1,000,000 miles long. Now, It had shrunk to half its original size. Not only that, even the power of the fire territory had weakened a lot. For the creatures of the South Continent, the Naming Fire Territory was quite famous. Such a change naturally attracted the attention of many people. However, compared to the Naming Fire Territory, the 10,000 races battlefield that spanned across the sky was truly eye-catching. The 10,000 races battlefield, standing in the void above the vault of heaven. It was as if there was an invisible hand supporting it, preventing the divine weapon from falling. Instead, it had been floating there quietly. At this moment, the divine weapon had grown from its original size of 1,000,000 miles to 10 million miles. Although it was not as vast as the entire 4 great continents, it was enough as a battlefield for the thousands of races to fight. After the completion of the construction of the 10,000 tribes battlefield, there were already many cultivators who wanted to fly over to observe this peerless divine weapon. However, it was a pity. The Naming Fire Territory was below the 10,000 clan battlefield. Although the power of the fire domain was much weaker now, not everyone could withstand it. Furthermore, the divine weapon had its own power. The cultivators standing below the divine weapon had no chance of flying. However, if one went to the top of the divine weapon, all traces would be covered by the mountains and earth veins. Therefore, one could only observe the battlefield from afar. It's a pity that the 10,000 tribes battlefield can't become a Taoist artifact. Otherwise, this divine weapon would definitely be the strongest Taoist artifact in the 4 continents. An expert from the Gold Clan could not help but exclaim as he looked at the battlefield that covered the sky and the sun. Hearing this, immediately, a cultivator said, even if it's not a Taoist artifact, this divine weapon can also be called the top divine weapon, if Zhu Bing is not included. At the end, he added another sentence. Zhu Bing was recognized as the strongest divine weapon, even if it was a 9-seal Taoist artifact. It could not be compared to the powerful Zhu Bing. But even so, the 10,000 clan battlefield in front of them was also shocking. No one can shake Emperor Qin's title as the #1 blacksmith in the 4 great continents. Of course, no one can surpass the divine weapon of the 10,000 clan battlefield in front of us. The cultivators of the various races sighed. Who could gather the emperors of the 10,000 clans to forge a divine weapon together? Even if a cultivator had the ability to forge it, he did not have the appeal. On the other side, Qin Shujian had already returned to the East Continent. The divine weapon you just forged is very powerful. If it can be integrated with an innate spiritual item, it will definitely be a 9-seal Taoist artifact. In his sea of consciousness, Godslayer's voice was also a little solemn. With his experience, he could naturally tell that the divine weapon was no ordinary weapon. Qin Shujian said, "There's no need to integrate innate spiritual objects. It's not the grade that determines the power of the divine weapon. It's the grade that determines the power of the divine weapon." As Senior said, the cultivation realm is just a synonym. If one's strength is enough, then it's enough. The way you look at things seems to have become even more different. I've gained something. Qin Shujian smiled faintly. After forging the divine weapon of the 10,000 clan battlefield, he had some enlightenment in his heart. He even felt it. He now had a deeper understanding of the Tao of forging. The Grandmaster forging realm, which was originally at the peak of the 3rd stage, was also faintly touched. That feeling, it was as if he was about to break out of his cocoon. Saint. Qin Shujian had a premonition that perhaps he did not need to rely on the source of life to break through to the saint level in forging. However, it would not be easy to take this step, but even so, the divine weapon of the 10,000 clan battlefield was also the one that had truly reached the peak level after forging so many divine weapons. If the heaven list in his hand did not integrate the destiny of the human clan, in front of the 10,000 clan battlefield, it would still be inferior. Just you wait. Everyone says that Zhu Bing is powerful. Today, Ben Huang will use the blood of the 10,000 clans to forge an extremely powerful divine weapon. Qin Shujian's lips curled into a smile. In his opinion, this divine weapon had not been completely forged yet. On the contrary, this was just the beginning. When the 10,000 clan battlefield officially opened, it would enter the next stage. However, Qin Shujian did not tell anyone about this. After returning to the East Continent, he immediately went to the Middle State Prefecture and officially met with Emperor Zhao. The 10,000 clan battlefield will officially open in a month's time. The human clan can now send cultivators in to make arrangements so that we won't be caught off guard by the 10,000 clans when the battlefield opens. The moment he saw Emperor Zhao, Qin Shujian went straight to the point. Emperor Zhao said seriously, "Great Zhao now has 6 mighty figures, 6 saints, and 5 transcendents. We can fight all of them, but we lack an expert who can take charge of a region." In Ben Huang's opinion, Shi Yang should be fine. Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, "Shi Yang is a cultivator at the 9th level of the heaven-human realm and has fought with the great saint of the demon clan. His strength is not to be underestimated. Now, even the emperors and perfected immortals of the 10,000 clans can't participate. In this way, even if there are experts at the 10th level of the heaven-human realm, there might not be many of them. Shi Yang should not be a problem as the sharp knife. As for Xiao Chengfeng, he has already promised Ben Huang that he is willing to go to the 10,000 clan battlefield to take charge. He will be able to protect the human clan." Xiao Chengfeng was too powerful. If he could not go out and wipe out the 10,000 clans, then he would stay behind the human clan. There was almost no hope for the other clans to attack the human clan. As for attacking the 10,000 clans, they also needed an expert to lead the troops. Among the human clan, apart from the 2 human emperors and Xiao Chengfeng, Shi Yang was the strongest. There was a moment of silence. Emperor Zhao said, "That's fine too." Then, he stood up, looked outside the pavilion, and said faintly, "The opening of the 10,000 clan battlefield will cause a bloody massacre. It will be more intense than ever before. How can it be so easy to fight for the power of heaven and earth? The 10,000 clans might be calm now." That was because the various clans were not confident. Now that the 10,000 clan battlefield was opened, all parties had made an oath. When the battlefield opened, the pressure that the human clan would face would be extraordinary. In Emperor Zhao's opinion, on the human clan side, even if Xiao Chengfeng was taking charge of the rear, there would still be many casualties. However, it was inevitable that there would be casualties in the war. Using war to nurture war. Only then could more experts be born. So what if it's a bloody massacre? It's much better to bleed now than to die out. Qin Shujian said with his hands behind his back. Now the human clan is divided into the Great Zhao and the cultivation world. Ben Huang proposes that the Great Zhao and the Qianyuan Sacred Ground each guard one side of the battlefield. Emperor Zhao, if you want to train troops, the Qianyuan Sacred Ground will also train troops. Xiao Chengfeng will be the highest commander. When necessary, he can integrate the 2 sides to fight. The rest of the time, we will fight for ourselves. Now the human clan had the Great Zhao and the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. In this way, it was impossible for the people of the Great Zhao to obey the orders of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. Similarly, it was impossible for the people of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground to obey the orders of the Great Zhao. So, fighting on their own was the best way to go about it. When necessary, Xiao Chengfeng would then command both sides and combine the 2 forces. Okay. Emperor Zhao nodded and agreed with Qin Shujian's proposal. Since it's okay, Emperor Zhao should send people to the 10,000 clan battlefield to make arrangements. Ben Huang will leave first. After that, Qin Shujian disappeared on the spot. The Qianyuan Sacred Ground. In the Qianyuan Hall, the 10,000 clan battlefield has been successfully opened. It will officially open in a month. At that time, it will be a scene of war. The human clan will send people to the 10,000 clan battlefield. The Qianyuan Sacred Ground needs to do the same. But compared to the Great Zhao, the Qianyuan Sacred Ground lacks powerful cultivators. Ben Huang has already sent Xiao Chengfeng to the 10,000 clan battlefield, but this is a conservative approach. If we want to make progress, we still have to rely on you. On the main seat, Qin Shujian glanced at everyone and said calmly. Hearing this, most of the other elders had solemn looks on their faces. Everyone knew, once the 10,000 clan battlefield opened, it would be an endless war. At least before the demon abyss arrived, the battlefield would not stop at all. In other words, it would be a meat grinder that devoured flesh and blood. Even a diviner could be turned into ashes if they were not careful. In this way, no one dared to take it lightly. Banqing cupped his hands and said, "What are your plans, Emperor Qin?" All the diviners in the Qinyuan sacred ground need to be stationed in the 10,000 clan battlefield. In addition, Bin Huang plans to let the students of the Qinyuan College enter the 10,000 clan battlefield. The Qinyuan College. Fang Xinglan's expression changed slightly. He cupped his hands and said, "Emperor Qin, the Qinyuan College has only been established for a few years. Most of the students are in the rudimentary realm and the true martial realm. If they participate, I'm afraid there will be heavy casualties." The 10,000 clan battlefield was a meat grinder in the future. If the rudimentary realm and the true martial realm disciples went there, it would be no different from sending their heads to their deaths. Fang Xinglan was not the only one with an ugly expression. Even the other elders had ugly expressions on their faces. Qin Shujian said, "The 10,000 clan battlefield has two main functions. One is to fight for the general trend of heaven and earth, and the other is to train the soldiers of the various clans. If it is only to fight for the general trend of heaven and earth, then there is indeed no need for students to participate. But the problem is that one of the main purposes is to train the soldiers. So what if they are in the true martial realm? The weakest among the 10,000 clans are also in the true martial realm. How can the human clan be inferior to other clans in the same realm?" Pass down the order of Bin Huang. All the students of the Qinyuan College who are in the true martial realm and above must enter the 10,000 clan battlefield for a month every year. We must ensure that the students can participate in the war. If they do not participate, they will be punished for the crime of treason. In addition, the Qinyuan Sacred Ground has set up merit points. Anyone who kills enemy cultivators and captures the territory of a city will receive the corresponding merit points. Merit points can be exchanged for cultivation techniques, martial arts, magic weapons, and elixirs. From now on, the alchemists and forgers in the Qinyuan Sacred Ground need to refine elixirs and magic weapons with all their strength to ensure that the human clan has sufficient supplies in the 10,000 clan battlefield. Also, the array discs must be engraved and the array masters must not slack off. Qin Shujian finished speaking. He had already turned his gaze to Fang Xinglan. Inside the Qinyuan Sacred Ground, it controlled all the cultivators in the entire cultivation world. Among them, there were many forgers, array masters, and alchemists. In the past, Qin Shujian did not force them to refine magic weapons, elixirs, or array discs, but now they were forced to do so. In addition, the Sky Patrol will dispatch some people to enter the 10,000 clan battlefield to verify the achievements of the human clan cultivators and ensure that no mistakes are made. We understand. Since Fang Xinglan had already said this, these elders had no reason to refuse. Qin Shujian said, "Other students who are not from the Qinyuan College can also enter the 10,000 clan battlefield. If they can kill foreign races, they can also obtain merit points to exchange for the corresponding resources. As for the cultivators who are not from the Qinyuan College, each household has to send one person to the 10,000 clan battlefield to train for a month every year for every 5 people in each household. If someone dies in the battle, that household does not need to forcibly send people to the 10,000 clan battlefield for the next 10 years. Now, the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture and the human emperor's immortal slaying technique had been completely popularized in the human clan of the East continent. In addition, the spiritual qi had increased. It could be said that any commoner had already embarked on the path of cultivation. In addition, the spiritual qi was rich. In just 1 or 2 years, some people had already walked a long way in the basic realm. There were even some who had broken through to the real martial realm. Everyone was a soldier. This was the case. The 10,000 clan battlefield was a matter of the entire human clan, not just the Qinyuan Sacred Ground and the Great Zhao Empire. Therefore, Qin Shujian now demanded that everyone must contribute to the human clan. Since they had the opportunity to cultivate, the human clan had to pay the price. Xia Kun said in a deep voice, "If we are so forceful, I'm afraid it will cause dissatisfaction among the people. Suppress any dissatisfaction for Bin Huang." Qin Shujian's expression was cold as he said indifferently, "Bin Huang created the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture. The spiritual qi used for cultivation was also personally placed in the East Continent by Bin Huang after the destruction of the various races. The reason why the human clan can maintain its current stability is that we have strong cultivators who are resisting the pressure of the 10,000 clans. If you don't want to contribute to the human clan, you can destroy the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture in Bin Huang, then expel them from the East Continent and let them fend for themselves elsewhere. They wanted to have food and clothing, but they didn't want to pay any price. Such a thing was impossible no matter where it was. Desperate times called for desperate measures. If someone really dared to do this, Qin Shujian would definitely not be merciful and expel them all. He wanted to see. Without the protection of the human clan, these people were nothing. His words were cold. It made everyone's heart tremble. At this moment, everyone could see that the Qin Emperor's determination was unshakable. Qin Yuanbai and the others took a deep breath, cupped their hands, and said, "Qin Emperor, don't worry. We know what to do." Bin Huang doesn't want to interfere too much in the 10,000 clan battlefield. Although the true immortals and the emperors of the 4 major continents won't easily make a move on the battlefield, they might make a move on the 4 major continents. The top cultivators of our clan have to stay on the East Continent to guard against the tricks of the various races. Therefore, I'll leave the 10,000 clan battlefield to you. At the same time, Xiao Chengfeng will also be the supreme commander of the 10,000 clan battlefield. As long as the human emperor is not here, his orders will prevail. We understand. Go and get ready. Qin Shujian waved his hand and said, "Hurry up and send people into the 10,000 clan battlefield. There's nothing there now. It's not that easy to fortify it. Then we'll take our leave first." Qin Yuanbai and the others got up and left. "Wait, Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows stay." Hearing this, Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows, who had just gotten up, looked at each other and sat down again. Although the others looked suspicious, they didn't ask any questions. After the others left, Qin Shujian looked at the two and said, "You're now in the 3rd level of the Celestial Being Realm. Are you confident that you can break through to the 4th level of the Celestial Being Realm in a short time?" "How long is the short time that you mentioned?" Golden Rock King asked in confusion. "Within a month." "Within a month." Golden Rock King looked solemn and finally shook his head. "Although I have a feeling that there's hope of breaking through, I'm afraid it's impossible within a month." After that, King of Azure Billows also looked troubled. "I don't have a choice. To break through to the 4th level of the Celestial Being Realm, one had to understand the existence of the rules of heaven and earth. To reach this point, in addition to talent, one also had to pay attention to opportunity and luck. Bin Huang will take you to the mother stream of the law. Whether you can find the opportunity to break through depends on your own luck." Qin Shujian said. There were too few strong people in the Qinyuan sacred ground now. Although a few more celestial beings had been born during this period of time, so far, there were no strong people in the Qinyuan sacred ground who had entered the Saint Realm. No, Nyo Dali was one. But other than Nyo Dali, there was no second person who had entered the Saint Realm. To cultivate a powerful person, it was impossible in the short term. Therefore, Qin Shujian also wanted to cultivate Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows into the Saint Realm, which could be regarded as adding some strength to the human race. Hearing this, the two looked at each other and then replied excitedly, "Thank you, Qin Yuanbai." Although they were in the 3rd level of the Celestial Being Realm, but as people from Tianwen Island, their heritage was naturally extraordinary. The existence of the mother stream of the law. The two of them were also very clear about it. But the problem was, knowing it was one thing, and being able to enter it was another. Concentrate and hold your breath. Divide a wisp of divine consciousness. Qin Shujian's voice sounded. Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows both held their breaths and focused their minds. At the same time, they divided a wisp of divine consciousness. Seeing this, Qin Shujian said, "Bin Huang will bring you into the mother stream of laws later. Don't resist in the process." After that, he also divided a wisp of divine consciousness, and then immediately wrapped the other 2 wisps of divine consciousness, and together they escaped toward the mother stream of laws. It seemed like a breath had passed, but it also seemed like a long time had passed. Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows only felt as if they had passed through some kind of membrane, and then their bodies relaxed. Then, Qin Shujian released the shackles of divine consciousness and appeared in the mother stream of laws in human form. This is the mother stream of laws. Remember the aura here, then follow your own feelings. Find the laws that match, and then enter it. The mother stream of laws. Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows looked at the vast mother stream in front of them and deeply felt their own insignificance. And in the mother stream, there were also many rivers flowing quietly in the middle of it. When they saw these rivers, they immediately understood what this was. The long river of laws. Qin Shujian said, "Your spiritual deity will not be able to support you in the mother stream for too long. Find the laws that match you as soon as possible." "Thank you, Emperor Qin." After the two of them cupped their hands, they did not dare to stay for too long and immediately headed in a certain direction. There was no need for Qin Shujian to say. Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows could feel that their spiritual deity was gradually being consumed. In this way, the two of them did not want to waste this great opportunity. After all, if there was no way to break through to the fourth level of the celestial realm this time, there might not be such an opportunity in the future. After the two of them left, Qin Shujian did not immediately retreat. Instead, he found the location of the rule of power and directly barged in. Just as he stepped into the rule of power, boundless pressure pressed down on him from all directions. One after another, the shadows of powerhouses appeared, wanting to stop his advance. Facing these shadows of powerhouses, Qin Shujian didn't waste any time and immediately engaged in a fierce battle. Boom, boom. Throughout history, there had been many powerhouses born from the rule of power. Now that Qin Shujian had the aura of other rules, it caused the rule of power to counterattack with all its might. So, these powerhouses who had walked on the path of the rule of power had all become the stumbling blocks under Qin Shujian's feet. Not only that, in the battle, there were even waves that wanted to swallow Qin Shujian. Bang! Qin Shujian destroyed an ancient shadow of a powerhouse with a punch. Then, a wave came crashing down, causing him to stagger and almost fall. It was also at this time. The surrounding shadows of powerhouses found this opportunity and immediately launched a fierce attack on him. In the outside world, in the Qinyuan Palace, Qin Shujian's body, which was sitting still, suddenly shook. Then, his calm aura fluctuated violently, but soon calmed down. "Sigh, I failed again," he sighed. Just now, when he was fighting against many shadows of powerhouses, he was knocked down by a wave of the rule of power. Then, the spiritual deity incarnation was completely destroyed. If it had been in the past, if the spiritual deity was destroyed, Qin Shujian himself would have suffered serious injuries. But as he became stronger and stronger, now that the spiritual deity that entered the mother stream was destroyed, it only caused his aura to fluctuate a little. He did not suffer any injuries. Then, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the two people who were like puppets. "I brought you into the mother stream. Whether you can break through to the fourth level of the celestial being depends on your own luck. I hope you won't waste too much of my time." He shook his head. He still stayed in Qinyuan Hall and did not leave. There was no other way. The Qinyuan sacred ground only had 2 third-level celestial beings. Before the opening of the Myriad Clan battlefield, he had to find a way to let them break through to the 4th level. About 2 days passed. King of Azure Billows suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura immediately weakened, and his eyes, which were originally closed, opened at this moment. The moment he opened his eyes, there was a fluctuation of the rule of power. But the fluctuation was very weak, so weak that it was almost negligible. "I've let you down, Qin Emperor. I failed to break through." King of Azure Billows came back to his senses, looking a little ashamed. For this, Qin Shujian also expected this and said calmly, "It's not easy to break through directly for the first time. Ben Huang used to enter the mother stream many times to break through from the 3rd level of the celestial being to the 4th level of the celestial being. You should recover briefly. In a few days, Ben Huang will bring you into the mother stream again." "Thank you, Qin Emperor." King of Azure Billows thanked him gratefully. Then, he did not want to waste any more time. He closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing to heal his injuries. Another day passed. King of Golden Rock also failed and quit. Qin Shujian also let him rest here to recover. 3 days later, both of them had recovered a little. Qin Shujian did not waste any time and once again took the two of them into the mother stream. Before a cultivator broke through to the 4th level of the celestial being. There was no way to freely enter the mother stream. So, Qin Shujian's current role was to continuously bring the two of them into the mother stream until they broke through. Just as King of Golden Rock and King of Azure Billows were trying their best to break through to the 4th level of the celestial being. On the human side, they were also completely on the move. The 10,000 tribe battlefield was about to open. This was a major event that concerned the entire human race. On the Great Zhao side, Emperor Zhao had already ordered all the armies to gather and then find an opportunity to enter the 10,000 tribe battlefield. At the same time, on the Qinyuan sacred ground side, Qin Shujian had also issued an order. However, the fact that the students of Qinyuan College were forced to participate in the war, as well as other people who had achieved success in cultivation, caused a lot of commotion. Inside a college, many students were dissatisfied. Why should we participate in the war? We've only been in school for a few years. Isn't it suicide for a true martial realm cultivator to go to the 10,000 tribe battlefield? That's right. The war is between the celestial being and the human emperor. Why should true martial realm cultivators participate in the war? We are the future of the human race. If all of us participate in the war and die in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, won't the human race be cut off in the future? Emperor Qin is the human emperor. How can he not understand the pros and cons? In my opinion, this order is definitely not from Emperor Qin. Someone must have faked Emperor Qin's order. Let's report it. Yes, report it. These students were going crazy. They were all shouting loudly, with the intention of completely overturning the college. Although the 10,000 tribe battlefield had just been opened. However, the news had spread long ago. Everyone could understand that the 10,000 tribe battlefield was a place full of bloody fighting. They were only true martial realm cultivators. If they faced the powerhouses of the 10,000 tribe battlefield, it was no different from sending their heads to their deaths. Cultivation did not mean that they were not afraid of death. So, after receiving the news, the first thing these students thought of was disobedience. At this moment, a powerhouse flew over, and a terrifying aura suppressed the area. This is the order of the Qin Emperor. No one is allowed to cause trouble. Anyone who causes trouble will be punished for treason. The Sky Patrol has the right to kill them on the spot. These cold words. It immediately silenced all the noise from the students. Everyone looked at the Sky Patrol in front of them, their faces pale and ugly. The Sky Patrol? It was a weapon of the Qinyuan sacred ground. Anyone who disobeyed the orders of the Qinyuan sacred ground would be attacked by the Sky Patrol. Moreover, the Sky Patrol either didn't make a move, or they made a move to kill. Although the students of the Qinyuan College were involved in cultivation, many of them had never really seen blood. They were naturally afraid of the Sky Patrol. As a human, you should contribute to the human race. Where do you think the resources you have for cultivation come from? It's just that your ancestors fought for it outside. Every inch of land you set foot on now is stained with the blood of your ancestors. No one can sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor. If you don't want to participate in the war, you can return everything that the Qinyuan College and the human race have given you. Leave the East Continent and the human territory. The Qinyuan sacred ground will not interfere with where you go. However, if you don't want to give up this treatment, then you must fight for the human race. The next time someone dares to openly violate the edict of the sacred ground, kill them without mercy. Bai Xiu glanced at these students coldly, then looked at the academy teachers who had arrived. Finally, his gaze fell on a middle-aged man. Qianbai, you are the dean of the college. You should manage and supervise these things. Otherwise, the next time the Sky Patrol really intervenes, it won't be so easy to talk to. I know, Divine General Bai, you don't have to worry about it. You're on your own. Bai Xiu flew away, leaving only Qianbai there with a gloomy face. Ever since he became the dean of the Qinyuan College, No one dared to disrespect him like this. If it were someone else, Qianbai would have already made a move. But the problem was, Bai Xiao was the Sky Patrol Divine General. Although his status was not as high as the Dean of the Qinyuan College, he had the power to kill. And when it came to strength, if they really fought, Qianbai was not confident that he could deal with Bai Xiao. More importantly, he could deal with Bai Xiao, but it would definitely involve more Sky Patrol. That would be a big problem. So, no matter how dissatisfied Qianbai was with Bai Xiao, he had to swallow his anger. Then he looked at the students and said in a cold voice, "This is the Qin Emperor's order. Whoever disobeys will die. If you want to die, you can tell me directly, lest the Sky Patrol take action and embarrass the college." After that, Qianbai snorted coldly, turned around, and left. The situation in the college was just a small example. After the Qinyuan Sacred Grounds order was passed down, many students were dissatisfied. However, the Sky Patrol all over the country sent out all their forces to suppress it, so it did not cause any trouble. As for the cultivators who were not from the Qinyuan College, those who disobeyed the orders of the Qinyuan Sacred Ground were all abolished and then expelled from the East Continent. He had no cultivation base, without the protection of the human race. In the other 3 continents, they were like walking meat with no possibility of survival. Such ruthless means. It caused many people to be dissatisfied, but it also caused more people to be fearful. If entering the 10,000 clan battlefield was a 50-50 situation, if the Qinyuan Sacred Ground punished them, they would definitely die. In just half a month, the Sky Patrol suppressed all the voices of dissatisfaction. At the same time, experts from all over the world were heading to the 10,000 clan battlefield one after another. I heard that the 10,000 clan battlefield is a divine weapon jointly forged by the Qin Emperor and the other emperors. In terms of power, the divine weapon is more powerful than the Heaven List. I haven't had the chance to see it with my own eyes. Today, I'll go to the 10,000 clan battlefield to take a look. A group of experts from the Qinyuan Sacred Ground flew in the air. Among the leaders, one of them was Feng Xinglan. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai smiled faintly. The power of the true immortal thunder tribulation can be vaguely felt even in the human race's territory. How can the power of the divine weapon be simple? Hearing the conversation of several elders, the cultivators from the other sacred grounds all looked curious. They also wanted to see what the rumored #1 divine weapon looked like. It would take a long time for ordinary cultivators to fly from the human race's territory to the Nanming Fire territory in the South Continent. Fortunately, this time, the cultivators who came out were at least in the God martial arts realm. In less than 10 days, they had already arrived near the Nanming Fire territory. "We've arrived at the Nanming Fire territory." Feng Xinglan looked at the scorching flames in front of him with fear and then said, "The 10,000 clan battlefield is above the Nanming Fire territory. It should be above." As he spoke, he looked up. Suddenly, he just stood there in a daze. Not only Feng Xinglan, but also the others at this moment, stood there with a dull look on their faces. In the sight of these people, an almost endless black shadow was suspended in the sky. Compared to the black shadow, Feng Xinglan and the others felt as small as ants. This is the 10,000 clan battlefield? A cultivator swallowed his saliva. They had seen divine weapons before, but they had never seen such a huge divine weapon. Even if someone pointed to the sky and said that it was a floating continent, they would believe it. After a while, Qin Yuanbai suppressed the shock in his heart and shouted in a low voice, "That is the 10,000 clan battlefield. Everyone, follow me up and go to the human race's territory to investigate the situation. Then, set up a portal as soon as possible." Without setting up a portal, there was no guarantee that other human cultivators would be brought here. The others immediately came back to their senses, then flew up into the air and headed toward the 10,000 clan battlefield. P.S. Support the original version, Chidian Chinese networks. I am decent. Chapter 674. They entered the 10,000 race battlefield. Qin Yuanbai and the others found that their field of vision was suddenly different. When they looked up from the ground, they could only see a black shadow. When they came to the 10,000 race battlefield, they found that this was a completely new world. Where is the territory of the human race? Niu Feng looked at the surrounding scene with a puzzled expression. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai didn't answer immediately. Instead, he flew to a higher position and looked down at the entire earth below. Then, he took out a topographic map from his storage ring. After a serious comparison, Qin Yuanbai landed again and looked at everyone. I just took a look at the surrounding environment. Where we are now is the territory of the human race, but don't move for the time being. The other elders and I will circle out the areas that are related to our human race and mark them. Has anyone from the Great Zhao come? I haven't seen them yet. They probably haven't sent anyone over yet. Qin Yuanbai shook his head. They didn't act with the Great Zhao. Naturally, they didn't know what the Great Zhao was doing. Just as the celestial elders were planning to circle the human race territory again, a strong cultivator came from the sky. People from the Qianyuan sacred ground. A surprised voice sounded. Qin Yuanbai and the others also looked up and saw several people falling from the sky. Duan Sun greets the elders. So it's General Duan. Sorry for the lack of manners. Qin Yuanbai and the others also politely returned the greeting. As for the people who came, they knew each other. After all, Duan Sun was a strong cultivator at the Saint Realm and one of the great generals of the imperial court. Whether it was his status or his strength, ordinary people couldn't compare to him. Beside Duan Sun were a few unfamiliar celestial beings. However, Qin Yuanbai and the others also saluted from a distance. The two sides had met before. Duan Sun said, "This time, the Qin Emperor asked Elder Qin and the others to come over?" "Yes, I was just curious why the people from the Great Zhao hadn't come yet. I didn't expect to see General Duan so soon." While speaking, Qin Yuanbai glanced at the people from the Great Zhao and then said with a smile, "There aren't many people from the Great Zhao this time. It seems that they have some plans. The 10,000 clan battlefield has just been opened. Moreover, this place uses a divine weapon as a carrier. Below is the Naming Fire territory, so it's not easy for ordinary cultivators to come up. That's why His Majesty sent us here to open up a teleportation gate to receive the others." Duan Sun said calmly. This time, they were the vanguard of the Great Zhao. Qin Yuanbai said, "According to the Qin Emperor, the human territory will be divided equally between the Qianyuan sacred ground and the Great Zhao Empire. The land under our feet now belongs to the human territory. How does General Duan plan to divide it? What plans does Elder Qin have? In my opinion, it's better to take the center as the base. The left side will be given to Da Zhao, and the right side will be given to the Qianyuan sacred ground. When the time comes, both of our forces will build cities in our respective territories and not invade each other." Qin Yuanbai said calmly. As he spoke, his gaze fell on Duan Sun the entire time. There were two Renhuangs in one clan. The situation was destined to be very delicate. To a certain extent, the status of Qianyuan sacred ground was the same as that of Da Zhao. Therefore, it was impossible for anyone to control anyone else. If they didn't want to have conflicts, they must not interfere with each other. Duan Sun nodded and said with a faint smile, "I have no problem with Elder Qin's proposal. Then we'll draw a line in the middle. Our forces will each take one side." "Okay." Qin Yuanbai nodded. Then the two of them flew into the air and took out the map to compare. Then, Duan Sun pointed his finger in the air, and the finger aura suddenly broke through the air and fell on the ground. Suddenly, a deep pit appeared from it. Then Duan Sun's fingers fell again. With the deep pit as the center, a silk line spread to the front and back ends. About half a quarter of an hour later, he retracted his hand again. At this point, the human territory was divided into two. After doing these things, Duan Sun took people to the left side of the territory, while Qin Yuanbai asked people to stay where they were. Then he led a few elders to the border to draw the line. In fact, the method of drawing the line was very simple. Just like Duan Sun, they left indelible marks on the ground. Then they erected a stone tablet. It showed that this place was the human territory. Back and forth, it took about half a day for Qin Yuanbai and the others to return to the place. Then, Qin Yuanbai looked at the others and said, "We have already drawn the line and erected the tablet. Your main task is to explore the human territory. You must draw all the areas and not leave anything out. Then, in 2 days, find a suitable place to build a city and make a sign there. As for the other things, you don't have to worry about them. Okay, then I'll leave the rest to Elder Qin. Niufeng nodded and took the lead to leave with a few people. As for the remaining people, they also left in groups of 2s and 3s. Soon, there were only 4 people left on the spot. Qin Yuanbai, Fang Xinglan, Yin Banqing, and the last Cui Huai. Elder Fang, please make a move and open the portal. Yin Banqing looked at Fang Xinglan. The other 2 were the same. There was no other way. Among the 4 elders, only Fang Xinglan was a formation master. The only person who could open the portal was him. Emperor Qin has ordered that this time, we don't need to open a portal, but directly open a teleportation array. Fang Xinglan said with a faint smile. It was just that with his young face, calling himself an old man seemed a little strange. While they were talking, Fang Xinglan took out a few array discs from his storage ring and directly fiddled with them on the spot. Although Qin Yuanbai and the other 2 were puzzled, they didn't dare to disturb him. Not long after, the array discs were placed. In the end, Fang Xinglan carved array patterns in the void and then merged them into the array discs. As the array patterns appeared, there was a mysterious power that worked in the void. By the time the last rune landed, Yi Zichen had already made his move. The array discs below emitted a faint light and then merged together at a speed visible to the naked eye. Buzz! The void vibrated and a platform was suddenly formed. The platform had a radius of 10 feet and was in the shape of 9 stars. On each star corner, there was a shallow concave hole. With the concave hole as the starting point, there were complicated and dense patterns crisscrossing. Subsequently, Fang Xinglan took out 9 spirit stones and directly placed them in the array. In an instant, the star text shone brightly. Immediately after, the void vibrated and distorted, but it soon calmed down. The difference was, the spirit stones placed in the array dimmed slightly. This is... Yin Banqing looked at the teleportation array that didn't have any movement and was stunned. From the outside, the teleportation array and the teleportation gate didn't seem to be much different. But the problem was, the former didn't seem to have any effect. Fang Xinglan said, the teleportation gate has a distance limit. Usually, teleporting between the various spirit regions is already the limit. It's even more impossible to teleport from the eastern continent to the southern continent. According to the Qin Emperor, the teleportation array can have a longer teleportation distance. Teleporting here, you can directly appear in the eastern continent. Is that true? Yin Banqing was a little suspicious. Although he wasn't proficient in arrays, he understood the principle of the teleportation gate. From the southern continent's Nanming Fire territory to the eastern continent, the distance was extremely far. Fang Xinglan smiled and said, if Eldarine doesn't believe me, you can go up and try it yourself. You'll know if it's true or not. Very well. Let me give it a try. Yin Banqing wasn't worried and walked directly to the teleportation array. Seeing this, Fang Xinglan didn't waste time and directly used his vital essence on the array. The array with the spirit stones was immediately activated. The next moment, the void shook slightly and Yin Banqing directly disappeared from where he was. On the other side, Yin Banqing hadn't fully recovered from his shock when he found himself in a familiar place. This is Cold Mountain City. He didn't come to Cold Mountain City many times, but it wasn't few either. Just by looking at the surrounding environment, he could recognize where Cold Mountain City was. However, it had been a year since the last time he came to Cold Mountain City. Yin Banqing realized. He didn't know when it started, but the teleportation gate in Cold Mountain City had been replaced with a teleportation array. Beside the teleportation array, there were also disciples of the sacred grounds guarding there. Seeing Yin Banqing's inheritance, the 2 disciples were slightly stunned for a moment before they immediately reacted. Disciple greets Eldarine. Dispense with the formalities. Can you teleport me back? No problem, one of the disciples said in a deep voice. Seeing this, Yin Banqing directly asked them to teleport him back. In the 10,000 tribe battlefield, above the empty array, the void suddenly shook again. Banching suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Chui Huai asked, "How was it?" "I just went back to Cold Mountain City." Banching smiled slightly and then left the teleportation array. Then, his eyes fell on this ordinary array again. "I never expected that this array can really lead directly to the East Continent. With this array, it will be much more convenient for the Qinyuan sacred ground to send people over." He sighed with emotion. Qin Yuanbai and the others' eyes also lit up. There was no need to think about it. They all knew how useful this array formation was. Fang Xinglan smiled faintly. "This time, when I left, Emperor Qin gave me a total of 4 complete array discs. This is the first one, which can be used to teleport others over. As for the remaining array discs, I plan to put them in the city after it is built." "Okay." Qin Yuanbai nodded and said in a deep voice, "There is not much time left for us. In about half a month, the 10,000 clan battlefield will officially open. In this half a month, we must complete the fortifications." To complete the fortifications, at the very least, they had to build a city. If it was in the past, it would not be easy to build a city. However, now that the Qinyuan sacred ground ruled all the cultivators in the world, it was not difficult to send a large number of cultivators to build a city in half a month. At most, it would consume a lot of resources. But a city built in this way, it would definitely not be as powerful as building a magic weapon. But there was no other way. Now, only Emperor Qin knew how to build a city with a magic weapon. The other grand forging masters. There was no way to really achieve this step. More importantly, people. The 2 grand forging masters of the Qinyuan sacred ground had not officially broken through to the celestial realm. If they wanted to build a powerful magic weapon, in addition to strong forging skills, even their cultivation level could not be too low. Otherwise, if they could not withstand the thunder tribulation, everything would be in vain. Then, Qin Yuanbai looked at Fang Xinglan again and said, "In addition to the city, there is also the array. The rest of the time depends on Elder Fang to engrave enough defensive arrays in the human territory. After all, the only array Dao Grandmaster here is you." "Okay." Fang Xinglan nodded slightly. Engraving arrays was not too difficult for him. The entire 10,000 clan battlefield was about 10 million miles in area. The human territory was only about 300,000 miles in area, which was about the size of 3 Liangshan spiritual domains. 300,000 miles in area. Half of it was given to Dazhao, and the remaining half belonged to the Qinyuan sacred ground. 150,000 miles in area. With Fang Xinglan's strength, half a month's time to set up the formation was also sufficient in terms of time. After all, it was a vast area to set up the array. There was no need to set up an array on every inch of land. More often than not, it was replaced by an array disk. When the human race entered the 10,000 clan battlefield to deploy, the other races also sent in experts. In just a few days, many experts flew over the heads of the human race's territory. To this, Qin Yuanbai and the others turned a blind eye. The war had not started yet, and the various races were still in the stage of preparing for war. Sometimes, if they accidentally flew over their heads, they would just fly over. But when the time came for war to break out, if the 10,000 clan flew over their heads, they would be live targets. "You must divide the territory of my clan in a short period of time, then open a teleportation gate here to receive my clan's cultivators." In the territory of the 9-headed dog clan, Zhu Chun observed the surrounding environment and then spoke calmly. Beside him, it was a few elders of the 9-headed dog clan. Hearing this, the elders nodded their heads and flew away. After they left, Zhu Chun looked at Kong Yi and said, "Do you have a map of the entire 10,000 clan battlefield?" "The 10,000 clan battlefield has just been opened. Who has the time to draw a map?" However, the 10,000 clan battlefield is a miniature version of the 4 major continents. If we use the map of the 4 major continents, there won't be much difference. Kong Yi shook his head and said. To this, Zhu Chen pondered for a moment and then said, "The map of the 4 major continents is too big and incomplete. Since we don't have a map of the 10,000 clan battlefield, we might as well go around it. Anyway, the battlefield hasn't officially opened yet. Even if we enter the territories of the various races, there won't be too much of a problem. Furthermore, Zhu Chen looked up and saw the figures flying across the sky. He smiled faintly and said, "If we don't do it, others will do it. Let's just go around it." Okay. Kong Yi thought for a moment and finally nodded. Qianyuan Sacred Ground, Qianyuan Hall. During this period, Qin Shujian had been staying here. Every few days, he would bring Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows into the Mother Stream. However, it was not easy to break through to the 4th level of the Celestial Being Realm. Up until now, the two of them hadn't gained much yet. After spitting out 2 more mouthfuls of blood, Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows' aura weakened. He looked at Qin Shujian with an apologetic look in his eyes. "Qin Shi Huang, I have a feeling that if you give me another chance, I will definitely be able to break through to the 4th level of the Celestial Being Realm." Golden Rock King tried to struggle again. After all, he had failed so many times. He was unwilling to give up just like that. Then let's not waste time. Qin Shujian took out the Hallow Elixir and then used his divine will to cut the elixir into several pieces. He gave 2 small pieces to Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows. "This is a 10th level elixir, the Hallow Elixir. After swallowing it, it will be enough to recover your energy." Hearing that, neither of them hesitated. They immediately took the pieces of the Hallow Elixir and swallowed it. They had never heard of a 10th level elixir. Neither had they heard of the Hallow Elixir. But how could something given by Qin Shujian be simple? After swallowing the Hallow Elixir, soon, a gentle energy rose from her body and instantly healed the spiritual god's injuries and the energy she had consumed. Before breaking through to the Celestial Being Realm, it would be difficult for a cultivator to nurture the spirit god. But after breaking through to the Celestial Being Realm, the cultivator's body, blood, and spirit god were completely integrated. If the spirit god was injured, it could be healed with blood. If it was in deficit, it could also be healed with the spirit god. In this way, it would be much easier to recover, because it was really at this stage. Strictly speaking, there was no distinction between body and spirit god. The two were more like a whole. In just a few breaths, the two of them had completely recovered. Seeing that, Qin Shujian did not waste any time and directly took the two of them to the Mother Stream of Law again. 5 days later, Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows' aura shook and retreated from the Mother Stream of Law again. But it was different from the previous times. This time, after they retreated from the Mother Stream of Law, their aura was not dispirited. Instead, a mysterious Tao aura overflowed from them. Without the heaven list in hand, Qin Shujian could not see their complete attributes. But judging from the situation in front of him, he knew that the two of them had successfully broken through. At this moment, Golden Rock King and King of Azure Billows stood up and bowed to thank him. "If it weren't for Emperor Qin's guidance, I don't know how long it would take for the two of us to break through to the Saint Realm. Now that this is over, you can go to the 10,000 tribe battlefield to guard it." "Yes, sir." The two of them nodded, then cupped their hands and left. Out of the Qian Yuan realm, Golden Rock King suddenly felt his body relax. He looked at the sky and said with a smile, "I didn't expect that I would break through to the Saint Realm one day. I thought I would be like the ancestors of Heavenly Pattern Island, stuck at the 3rd level of the Sky Human Realm for the rest of my life. I would either wait until my lifespan ran out or die fighting for Heavenly Pattern Island." Breaking through to the Saint Realm, it made Golden Rock King feel as if he had been reborn. For others, breaking through to the 4th level of the Sky Human Realm was just a breakthrough. But for him, this was not only a breakthrough in realm, but also breaking the shackles of fate. From this moment on, he officially got rid of the restrictions of Heavenly Pattern Island and truly had the hope of setting foot on the peak. Yes, breaking through to the Saint Realm, we can be considered the first people in Heavenly Pattern Island. King of Azure Billows' expression was also emotional. In Heavenly Pattern Island, for millions of years, no one had been able to break this limit. Now they had succeeded. Naturally, they could be considered the first person in a million years. After lamenting, King of Azure Billows said, "Entering the Saint Realm is just a new starting point. There are still powerful figures and true immortals. As cultivators from Heavenly Pattern Island, if we don't break through to the true immortal realm, we will be letting down the great ancestor. This time, Ancestor Tongtian had placed a glimmer of hope on him. Heavenly Pattern Island was located in the inner area of the sea. In order to travel unimpeded in the inner area of the sea, one had to be at least at the true immortal realm. While the two were talking, they directly left the East Continent and flew towards the South Continent. Until now, neither Golden Rock King nor King of Azure Billows knew that a teleportation array had been set up in Cold Mountain City, in the 10,000 clan battlefield. In a few days, the people of the Qinyuan sacred ground had already found a suitable place to build a city in the human realm. In the entire human realm, they had made a detailed map. Qin Yuanbai said in a deep voice, "The map of the human realm has been completed, but the maps of the other clans have not been completed yet." During this period, foreign cultivators often fly over. If I'm not mistaken, they're investigating the territory of our human race. In that case, we should also take advantage of this time to explore the other human realms and write a suitable map. Writing a map. This was essential. Otherwise, they would be at a loss when they fought in the future. Although the 10,000 races battlefield was tens of thousands of miles wide, it seemed that a celestial being only needed to scan it a few times to explore it. But one thing to know was, the body of the 10,000 races battlefield was a powerful divine weapon, and it was integrated with the blood essence of the emperors. The pressure here, it was extremely powerful. At the same time, with the blood essence of the emperors, even if a celestial being cultivator could expand his divine sense, it would be greatly limited. For example, in the outside world, the divine sense could spread up to 10,000 miles, but here, it could only spread up to 100 miles at most. It was weakened by 100 times. In this way, it would take too much time to just rely on the divine sense to scan the area. Not only that, when a war really broke out, the experts of the enemy clans would not allow the celestial beings from their side to scan the area with their divine sense. At that time, it was inevitable that they would attack. Therefore, it was very necessary to take advantage of this time to draw a map. When drawing the map, leave it to me and Elder Qin, Xia Kun, who had just rushed over from the Qinyuan sacred ground, said immediately. Okay. Qin Yuanbai did not refuse. Although Xia Kun was only in the first tier of the celestial being realm, in terms of strength, he was not weak, at least among the celestials present. Apart from himself, Xia Kun was considered the strongest one. After making the decision, Qin Yuanbai and Xia Kun divided into two opposite directions, flying in the air at the same time to explore other areas. The Demon Clan's territory. Tianhong was supervising the Demon Clan's people to build the city and fortifications. Suddenly, he raised his head and looked at the void. Someone was flying over there. Human clan. Tianhong's heart unconsciously surged with killing intent. There was great hatred between the human clan and the demon clan. He himself had suffered a lot at the hands of the human clan. At this moment, seeing someone flying in the air, Tianhong naturally had the urge to attack. He hasn't reached the Saint Realm. He's very weak. Relying on his own perception, he quickly sensed the strength of the human celestial being passing by above his head. Regarding this, Tianhong was even more eager to make a move. A celestial being who had not reached the Saint Realm was just an existence that he could destroy with a wave of his hand. After thinking for a while, in the end, he suppressed the impulse in his heart. There was no other reason. At this time, the 10,000 clan battlefield had not officially opened. Whoever made the first move would definitely break the rules. By then, it would be a troublesome matter. More importantly, the human clan was very strong. Thinking of that Qin Shi Huang, Tianhong's heart trembled a little. Humph, demon clan. Qin Yuanbai swaggered over the demon clan's head and sneered in his heart. Tianhong's killing intent was so obvious. How could he not notice it? In the past, Qin Yuanbai did not dare to swagger over the head of a 9th-tier celestial being expert. But now, he was not afraid. The battlefield had not officially opened. Who would dare to make a move without permission? Not to mention that he had Qin Shi Huang as a solid backing. As long as the demon clan did not want to fight to the death with the human clan, then he had to be calm. However, Qin Yuanbai was also a little nervous. It was not until he left the demon clan's territory that he relaxed a little, recalling everything he saw in his mind. He took out a jade talisman and engraved the demon clan's territory that he saw just now. Then, he immediately went to the next place. Qinyuan Realm. In the main sect, is the teleportation formation over at the 10,000 clan battlefield completed? Qin Shujian asked. The person sitting opposite him. It was Su Yuanming. Hearing that, he nodded and said, a few days ago, a disciple of Cold Mountain City reported that Elder Een appeared from the teleportation formation and then was teleported back to the 10,000 clan battlefield. Since then, the teleportation formation has been completed. During this period of time, several elders of the Holy Lands have also selected many people through the teleportation formation. Qin Shujian nodded slightly. Since the teleportation formation was completed, the rest was not difficult. Tell them to get the city ready as soon as possible. In addition, inform the various races that Bin Huang will set up a shielding formation under the 10,000 clan battlefield to block the existence of the 10,000 clan battlefield. Tell them not to panic. Okay, Su Yuanming replied. How's the cultivation of the disciples of the Origin sect during this period of time? Now, there are a total of 7,600 disciples who have broken through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm, 1,400 in the Airborne realm, 325 in the Visionary realm, and as for the God Martial realm, there's an increase of 27 during this period of time. Su Yuanming replied truthfully. Qin Shujian had a rough idea of what was going on. Over 200,000 disciples. Almost half of them were locals. Thus, it was obvious. Almost 10% of the disciples had broken through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm. This ratio was already extremely high. As for the gap between the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm and the Airborne realm, it had decreased greatly. As for the Visionary realm and God Martial realm, there were even fewer people. Regarding this, Qin Shujian wasn't too surprised. The reason for this, the biggest reason, was that the Origin sect had been established for too short a time. In total, it had been established. It hadn't even been 10 years. According to the current trend, the number of God Martial Realm disciples in the Origin sect would increase greatly in a few years. The Origin sect was only one of the sects in the world. The cultivation of the disciples of the Origin sect increased rapidly. Then, the cultivation of the others in the cultivation world wouldn't be much slower. The current human race, they were full of vitality and showed signs of recovering to their peak. After thinking for a moment, Qin Shujian looked at Su Yuanming and said, until now, our Origin sect hasn't really given birth to a diviner cultivator, right? Elder Gongmingza has already succeeded in breaking through to the diviner realm some time ago. Gongmingza is only a consecrator of our sect and can't be considered a real disciple of the Origin sect. When he entered the Origin sect, he was already on the verge of breaking through to the diviner realm. It's natural for him to break through now. Qin Shujian shook his head. He naturally knew about Gongmingza's breakthrough. But Gongmingza couldn't be considered a person nurtured by the Origin sect. The true problem of the Origin sect now was that there was no way to give birth to an expert who could take charge of a region. There were many spirit martial realm cultivators. There were also many God martial realm cultivators. But cultivators of this level couldn't be seen in public. If it was in the past, Qin Shujian would still think that the spirit martial realm and the God martial realm were very strong. But what kind of height determined what kind of vision one had? Looking at it from his current perspective, the Origin sect was really weak. In front of an absolute expert, no matter how many spirit martial realm and the God martial realm cultivators there were, they could all be wiped out with a wave of the hand. There was no need for a true immortal to make a move. Any 10th-tier diviner of the myriad races would have no difficulty in doing this. Su Yuanming lowered his head and replied, "You're right, Emperor Qin. It's been 1 or 2 years since you broke through to the God martial realm. So far, you're still in the same place. The Qianyuan realm has a lot of spiritual energy and sufficient cultivation methods, but you still haven't made any progress. If you continue to slack off like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to survive the tribulation." The way Qin Shujian looked at Su Yuanming was also somewhat exasperated. For the person in front of him, he still valued him more. But for some reason, Since the establishment of the Qinyuan sacred ground, Su Yuanming had gradually become slack. With the current conditions of the Qinyuan realm, 1 year. It was enough time for a cultivator at the first tier of the God Martial realm to break through to the second tier of the God Martial realm. If he was a genius, his progress might be more than that. In the face of Qin Shujian's words, Su Yuanming's expression changed a few times. Finally, he replied in a low voice, "Don't worry, Emperor Qin. I know what to do." Well, when the 10,000 race battlefield opens, you can go there to gain experience. Ben Huang won't ask too much of you. It's enough to kill an outsider in the middle stage of the God Martial realm. Yes, Emperor Qin. Su Yuanming bowed and accepted the order. He was only in the first tier of the God Martial realm, but he had no objection to the order to kill an outsider in the middle stage of the God Martial realm. After all, he was an elder of the Origin sect. If he couldn't even challenge someone of a higher tier, then he was really too weak. When Su Yuanming raised his head, the person sitting in front of him had disappeared without him noticing. Go to the 10,000 race battlefield? Thinking back to what he had just said, Su Yuanming's expression was a little inexplicable. In the end, a faint smile appeared on his face. Good. He had been silent in the Qinyuan sacred ground for too long. It was time to go out. Lion-Tiger Plain. Ox Demon Cave. Niu Dali woke up from his deep sleep and then turned into his human form. He bowed to Qin Shujian in front of him. "Greetings, Emperor Qin. How's your cultivation? I've broken through to the 6th tier of the celestial being. If I have some more time, I should be able to break through to the 7th tier of the celestial being." Niu Dali touched his horns and answered truthfully. Hearing this, Qin Shujian also looked at him with his Dharma eyes and then nodded secretly. Niu Dali was right. He was indeed in the 6th tier of the celestial being. A drop of the ancient demon emperor's blood essence. It had created an expert in the 6th tier of the celestial being so quickly, and it wouldn't be long before he broke through to the 7th tier of the celestial being. The effect was indeed amazing. Compared to the demon emperor's blood essence, Eldar's wood spirit heart was a bit rubbish, but it was normal. The wood spirit heart was only a supreme treasure condensed by a half-immortal, but the demon emperor's blood essence was the blood essence of a true immortal. There was no comparison between the two at all. Qin Shujian used to think that half-immortals were very strong. Now, it seemed that even a half-immortal couldn't take one strike from him. So, compared to Niu Dali, Mu Yang might not be able to go far by relying on the wood spirit heart. In the end, if he wanted to reach the peak, he still had to rely on his own talent. "Do you have any memories of awakening any bloodline?" Qin Shujian asked. According to what the Godslayer said, there should be a powerful bloodline in Niu Dali's body, and such a bloodline, once it was activated, it would often appear along with the memories of the race. Therefore, he wanted to know, what kind of bloodline inheritance did the bull demon in front of him have? Hearing this, Niu Dali fell into a state of thinking, as if he wanted to find something in his own memory. After a long time, he shook his head and said, "I don't seem to have any changes in my memory, but there are some sporadic and broken attack methods. They should be the bloodline memories that Emperor Qin mentioned." Sporadic and broken attack methods. Qin Shujian nodded. It seemed that the bloodline inheritance in Niu Dali's body was either not fully activated or incomplete. But no matter what, the other party's bloodline was definitely not simple. Then, he looked at Niu Dali and revealed a smile. "Ben Huang, I see that you have stayed in the Lion-Tiger Plains for many years and have never really gone out. Why don't you follow Ben Huang to the southern continent?" To the southern continent? Niu Dali's face was filled with shock. He had never thought that he would leave the eastern continent one day. No, not only did he leave the eastern continent, he had never thought that he would leave the Liang Mountain Spirit Domain. As a cow that was born and raised in this area, the furthest place Niu Dali had ever been to was probably the Liang Mountain next door. In other words, in the past, he had never walked out of the Liang Mountain ordinary realm, let alone the southern continent. After hearing Qin Shujian's words, the first thing Niu Dali thought of was to refuse. However, he looked at the faint smile on Qin Shujian's face. In the end, A certain bull demon swallowed the words of refusal and squeezed out a simple and honest smile. It is my honor to be able to accompany Emperor Qin to the southern continent. How can I refuse? You are teachable. Qin Shujian nodded his head in relief. Then, the man and the ox stood on the spot and looked at each other. Neither of them spoke, nor did they move. Until half an hour later, Nyodali felt that the atmosphere around him was a little silent, and could not help but ask carefully, "Why isn't Emperor Qin leaving yet? Didn't you say you were going to the southern continent? Then why don't you leave? I'm an ox who has never traveled far, and I don't know the way." Qin Shujian smiled. "Could it be that you plan to let Bin Huang walk there?" Nyodali's face was blank. He was not a stupid ox. Qin Shujian's words made this bull demon instantly understand something. "I treat you as a friend, but you want to ride me. P.S. In the future, I won't update at midnight. I'll update during the day, noon, and afternoon." Chapter 675. The green bull soared into the air with a person sitting on its back. A green robe, holding a paper fan, like a true immortal. The bull was Nyodali. The person was Qin Shujian. As for the paper fan, it was just something he made at the last minute to use as a facade. Just as the green bull soared into the air, Qin Shujian said calmly, "Wait a moment." Yes. Nyodali had not completely adapted to his identity as a mount and only reacted after a while. "Jizhou, Wu Shan, come to see Bin Huang." The voice was not loud, but it covered the entire lion-tiger plain. All the beasts that heard this voice prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to move at all. Soon, the two of them soared into the air and appeared in front of Qin Shujian. "Greetings, Qin Emperor." After bowing, they looked at the green bull under Qin Shujian with a strange expression. Such a gaze made Nyodali very unhappy. "What are you looking at? Have you never seen a mount?" After saying that, he hit the bull's head with the folding fan, causing it to shut up. The 10,000 tribe battlefield will open in a few days. The Broken Mountain clan and the 1,000 Pupil clan are subordinate to the Demon clan, but that was a long time ago. Bin Huang hopes that the two clans can form an alliance with the Human clan. Otherwise, the two clans will be destroyed on the spot. The two of you have contributed a lot to the Human clan. Bin Huang is not willing to easily use his weapons against the clans you belong to. Qin Shujian said indifferently with a calm face. This matter, he had already told Jizhou and Wu Shan once. This was the second and last time. If the two clans really did not side with the Human clan, then when the 10,000 tribe battlefield opened, if there was a chance, the Human clan would immediately attack the two clans. When that time came, there would be no camaraderie between the two sides. Jizhou's expression was solemn as he cupped his hands and said, "I understand Qin Emperor's words. I will immediately head to the 1,000 Pupil clan and do my best to form an alliance with the Human clan." The same goes for the Broken Mountain clan. Wu Shan nodded his head. They both understood that at this time, if they were not allies, they would be enemies. Compared to other forces, the two were more optimistic about the Human clan, because only by staying by the side of the Qin Emperor could one understand how powerful he was. Although the human race didn't seem to have many powerhouses now, they were still very powerful. However, it was the Qin Emperor alone. That was enough to sweep away many experts. "Go." Qin Shujian retracted his gaze and said calmly. This time, the person he was talking to was not Jizhou or Dark Mountain, but the green ox he was riding. A few seconds after he finished speaking, Nyodali did not move at all. Qin Shujian knocked the bull's head again with his folding fan and said indifferently, "Let's go." At this moment, only then did Nyodali react. Then, he stomped on the ground and headed out of the lion-tiger plain. "I say, next time, you should be more observant. Don't only move when Bin Huang reminds you. Look at Zhao Huang's mount. It's very eye-catching. If you have time, go and interact with him." Qin Shujian said, exasperated. Hearing this, Nyodali was somewhat indignant. "Old ox, it's not that I didn't have any experience in the beginning. Who would have thought that the demonic Vein Master would suddenly become a mount?" The change of identity made him feel a little upset. It was not that Nyodali was against the identity of a mount. It was just that it felt a little weird to have someone sitting on his back. There was a feeling in his heart that told him, with his identity, he should not become a mount. Therefore, Nyodali wanted to resist. However, feeling the faintly discernible power on his back, he dispelled the thought in his heart. Alas, a certain green ox sighed heavily. Qin Shujian did not ignore the emotions of the green ox he was riding. Don't think that being a mount is shameful. There are also mounts that are very strong and have a very high status. Your ancestor was once a mount of a supreme expert, but he had a lot of face. As a mount of a supreme expert, he would be treated with respect wherever he went. And he often followed the supreme expert to listen to his teachings. His cultivation realm was also extremely powerful. You are now following Binhuang. You are not an ordinary mount, but a mount of the human emperor. In the future, when people see you, they will know that you are the green ox under the Qin emperor of the human clan. At that time, even the demon emperor of the demon clan will have to give you some face. Otherwise, if they offend you, they will offend the human emperor. This is not a small matter. Qin Shujian said patiently. Hearing that, Nyodali asked in disbelief, Really? Really? When has Binhuang ever lied to you? Qin Shujian replied with certainty. For this, Nyodali was a little relieved. Indeed, this Qin emperor did not seem to be very trustworthy, but he did not lie to him much. And on second thought, the other party's words were not without reason. Although he was a mount, he was also the mount of the human emperor. Going out for a walk, that represented the face of the human emperor. Compared to this identity, it seemed that being a mount for a while was nothing. In the sea of consciousness, Godslayer said strangely, Speaking of which, where did you know that there are experts whose mounts are green oxen? Why have I never heard of it? Riding an ox? Godslayer thought for a while. No expert would do such a degrading thing. Real experts, either they did not need mounts, or their mounts were Chilants, real dragons, phoenixes, or green kite peacocks. These clans did not dare to be born noble, and they were extremely talented. They could become mounts and be taught as half a disciple. But speaking of green oxen, that was really too ordinary. Therefore, the god-slaying saber suspected that this Qin Shihuang was trying to trick the stupid cow he was riding. Hearing that, Qin Shujian sneered, There are many things you don't know. Are you kidding? I have existed since ancient times. There are few things in the world that I don't know. Since you said that he is a supreme expert, then tell me his name. Lord Latsu, Tongtian sect leader, have you heard of him? Qin Shujian said two names casually. In the sea of consciousness, the stone saber trembled violently. These two names could not be heard clearly at all, but they could make the stone saber tremble. Don't say it. Godslayer's voice was trembling. Above the rules. Another two titles above the precepts. He almost forgot that this Qin emperor in front of him was the reincarnation of an existence above the rules, and the people he knew were naturally experts above the rules. But what Godslayer did not expect was that Qin Shujian knew so many existences above the rules. No, it should be because so many rules had been born between heaven and earth. Godslayer suppressed the shock in his heart. After a while, he calmed down and sorted out his thoughts. His voice was still trembling. What you just said are the names of the two existences.
Yes.
Godslayer's reaction basically confirmed Qin Shujian's guess. Lord Latsu, Tongtian sect leader. He was also an existence above the rules. However, he was not too surprised. After all, if Pangu could be above the rules, why couldn't Lord Latsu and Tongtian sect leader? Even Qin Shujian guessed that many of the people he was familiar with in the past were probably existences above the rules. In other words, there must be some connection between the two. Unfortunately, he was not qualified to pry so much now. Just as Godslayer had said before, if he casually called out and attracted the attention of the other party, it would be awkward if they slapped him to death. Qin Shujian thought that he was very strong. But the existence above the rules was an expert above the 9th level of a mortal. If they wanted to slap him to death, it was probably no different from killing an ant. Godslayer calmed down and then said, You just said the names of two existences. If the names of these two existences have more than one word, you can tell me the first one or two. In this way, I can have a general idea, and as long as the names are not complete, they generally won't attract the attention of those existences. The first is Lord Latsu, and the second is Tongtian. Qin Shujian did not hide it and directly told Godslayer, Lord Latsu, Tongtian, and the first plate. The God-slaying saber thought back to what Qin Shujian had said. It now had some understanding of the existence above the three rules. There was no other meaning. He simply wanted to know the names above the rules. Qin Shujian did not deliberately hide anything from Godslayer. The green ox under him also heard Qin Shujian's words. Why are there people with such names? Nyodali shook his ox head and did not ask any more questions. At this moment, the green ox walked in the air with a person sitting on its back, heading toward the territory of the human clan. At the junction of the East Continent and the other three continents, a canyon of 1,000,000 miles appeared, completely blocking the two. Emperor Qin, where should we go next? Nyodali looked at the canyon in front of him, feeling a little scared. With his vision, he could naturally see the raging broadsword chi above the canyon. When he felt the broadsword chi, Nyodali felt that the scales all over his body were trembling. Because he did not know the way, he just walked forward according to Qin Shujian's words, so he did not accurately arrive at the passage taken by the human clan. Nyodali looked at the canyon in front of him. Qin Shujian said faintly, just step over it. I won't die, will I? Nyodali was a little panicked. If he was killed by the broadsword chi, he would have no place to cry. Bang! The folding fan hit the ox head, making a crisp sound. Qin Shujian said angrily, what are you afraid of? How can you be Banhuang's mount in the future if you are so timid? Since you are the mount of the human emperor, you should show the momentum that a mount of the human emperor should have. Nyodali wanted to say that he did not want to be a mount so much. However, it was not so easy to say this sentence. Then, Nyodali looked at the canyon in front of him, gritted his teeth, and rushed over. When he was close to the canyon, the shocking broadsword chi raged chaotically. That horrible feeling made his heart beat wildly. But thinking of Qin Shujian's words, Nyodali could only go forward. The green ox leaped into the air, its 4 hooves stepping on the air as it flew towards the canyon. Then, Qin Shujian, who was sitting on the back of the ox, opened his folding fan and waved it casually. Suddenly, endless energy surged from all directions and dispersed all the broadsword chi. It was just a simple fan. A path was opened in the void where the broadsword chi was rampaging. Ox, go quickly, Qin Shujian said with a smile as he sensed something in his heart. Nyodali looked at the scene where the wind dispersed the broadsword chi. He was shocked and admired Qin Shujian's strength. Without hesitation, the green ox immediately flew toward the void that had calmed down. On the back of the ox, he gently waved the folding fan. There were only 2 words on the blank folding fan. Human Emperor fan. Although it was just casually made by Qin Shujian, it was also written by him. It had transformed into a powerful magic weapon. On the other side of the canyon, there were also many cultivators gathered there. Qin Shujian created a canyon that was 1,000,000 miles long, and there was also an inextinguishable broadsword chi left. It was also because of this that caused the charm of that slash to be left behind. Therefore, this place had become a sacred place for cultivation. All the cultivators who cultivated broadsword techniques, no matter what race they were from, liked to come here to comprehend the essence of the broadsword techniques, hoping that they could comprehend something from it. That would be of great use to them. In the 4 continents, I'm afraid that no one's broadsword technique is stronger than Qin Shi Huang's. Yin Long sighed. Looking at the canyon in front of him, he also had a lot of emotions in his heart. He felt a little regretful that he was not a human, or else he would have a way to ask Qin Shi Huang about the broadsword technique. The broadsword intent contained in the canyon made Yin Long think that it was the peak of the broadsword Tao. Even if he could not completely comprehend it, even if he could comprehend 1/10 or 1/100th of it, it would be of great use to him. But it was a pity. The broadsword intent here was too violent. It was not an easy task to comprehend it. Hearing that, The cultivator beside him shook his head and said, I heard that Qin Shi Huang did not follow the broadsword Dao rules. Fortunately, he did not follow the broadsword Dao rules. Otherwise, you and I would not have a chance to prove our Dao. Yin Long laughed self-deprecatingly. The biggest sorrow was to follow the same Dao as an unparalleled expert. This proved that, unless he changed his Dao, he would never have a chance to prove his Dao. All of a sudden, a strong wind blew in the void. The broadsword Qi that was enough to kill a celestial being retreated in front of the strong wind. While the others were still in shock, not knowing what was going on, they saw a green bull step out and quickly soar into the sky. However, when the green bull was leaving, everyone saw the green robe on the bull's back. Qin Shi Huang. Yin Long was shocked. How could he not know Qin Shi Huang of the human race? Not only him. In the 4 continents, it was impossible for any expert to not know Qin Shi Huang. Because such a top expert, he was destined to be known by all living creatures. I did not expect Qin Shi Huang's mount to be a green bull. Although it is just a green bull, the power it emits is extremely strong. Maybe it has reached the almighty realm. So powerful. However, only such an expert is worthy to be Qin Shi Huang's mount. Just as the other cultivators were discussing, the strong wind dissipated. The broadsword Qi that retreated was restored. The green bull flew in the void. It was not very fast, but almost everyone could see it. Qin Shujian sat on the bull's back and naturally heard those discussions clearly. To this, he felt good. The human emperor had to have the face of a human emperor. Although it would be faster for him to travel, Qin Shujian still felt that something was missing. Out of the eastern continent, Qin Shujian waved his folding fan gently and said, Go south. According to the temperature in the air, find the Nanming fire territory. Nyodali heard that. He instantly walked in the direction of the southern continent. It would take a few days to come out of the eastern continent and then to the southern continent. This was because Nyodali had broken through to the 6th level of the celestial being realm, and his flying speed was very fast. Or else, it would take even longer. However, Qin Shujian was not in a hurry. The main reason was that now that the 10,000 clan battlefield was opened, he had nothing to do. What he could do was to wait quietly for the improvement of his life source and then improve his strength. Qin Shujian, this should be the Nanming fire territory. Nyodali looked at the volcano below. The hot aura made him feel uncomfortable. Compared to other volcanoes, the Nanming fire territory in front of him was a real volcano. This was because every mountain and every inch of land was burning with an inextinguishable flame. That's right. Qin Shujian nodded, then raised his head to look at the sky. There, the 10,000 clan battlefield floated quietly in the sky. The 10,000 clan battlefield should look like this. Now that it's exposed in front of people, it seems that anyone can find it. After all, it doesn't look good. Qin Shujian smiled faintly. Then he waved the paper fan in his hand. In an instant, his energy swept across the world, turning into endless array patterns that were engraved in the void. Every fan was fanned out. Qin Shujian attached his divine thought to it. With his array master realm that had reached the peak of the 3rd realm, it was easy for him to set up an array. However, the 10,000 clan battlefield was very big. It would take some time to set up a large-scale array. The green ox stood in the void and did not move. Qin Shujian fanned himself with the folding fan in his hand. Every hour, he would fan once. 3 days later, a large array was quietly formed. The moment the large array was formed, the 10,000 clan battlefield, which was originally suppressing the void, had disappeared without a trace. The dark sky. It also became clear in an instant. When some cultivators looked up, they suddenly realized that the 10,000 clan battlefield had disappeared without a trace. The 10,000 clan battlefield has disappeared? What's going on? Why is the 10,000 clan battlefield gone? Many of the cultivators were horrified. The disappearance of the 10,000 clan battlefield was not a small matter. However, the emperors of the various clans had already received the message from the human clan, so there was not much movement. Nyoer, go back. Qin Shujian knocked the ox's head with his folding fan and said with a smile, the main purpose of his visit this time It was to set up a shielding array for the 10,000 clan battlefield. This formation not only had the effect of blocking, but also had a certain degree of defensive ability. Moreover, with Qin Shujian's array formation skills and his current strength, even a half-immortal would not be able to break through the array formation he set up. However, it was far from enough to deal with a true immortal. At this moment, the array formation was formed. Even a half-immortal would not be able to break through the array formation. Moreover, any powerhouse who was not a true immortal would be unconsciously teleported out if they stepped inside. There was no way to enter the 10,000 clan battlefield at all. In this way, there was only one way to enter the 10,000 clan battlefield, and that was to enter through a teleportation formation or a teleportation gate. As the array formation was formed, the cultivators in the 10,000 clan battlefield also noticed such a change. The biggest problem was that there was no way to see the scene below from the border of the 10,000 clan battlefield. Instead, there was something similar to a barrier between heaven and earth that surrounded these borders. Emperor Qin has set up a formation, Feng Xinglan said in a deep voice. With his strength as a formation master, he could naturally see that what covered the 10,000 clan battlefield was a huge array formation. In the 4 continents, in Feng Xinglan's opinion, only Qin Shujian had the ability to set up such an array formation. Xia Kun frowned and said, "You're saying that the person who set up the array formation is Emperor Qin?" Of course. Emperor Qin's array formation skills are so powerful. Xia Kun was also a little shocked. He really did not know. Qin Shujian knew how to set up an array formation and was so powerful. When he came out of the Heavenly Pattern Island, he did not hear anyone say that Qin Shujian's array formation skills were so powerful. Feng Xinglan said, Emperor Qin was once famous for his array formation skills. However, now that his strength has increased, he rarely shows his powerful array formation skills. However, seriously speaking, compared to Qin Shihuang, my skill in the Tao of formations is like heaven and earth. A few years ago, Qin Shujian was already a 2nd realm formation master. Perhaps he had already become a 3rd realm formation master. This was not a joke. After all, how long did it take for him to grow from the 1st realm to the 2nd realm? With his talent, he might have already reached the 3rd realm. Of course, in Feng Xinglan's view, Qin Shujian's array formation skills were far less powerful than his own cultivation. Xia Kun suddenly understood. At this moment, all the races had entered the battlefield and were in a stable period of rest and reorganization. After a brief chat with Xia Kun, Feng Xinglan continued to draw arrays in the human territory. On the other side, Xia Kun also walked away and went to check on the construction of the cities. I thought that I would never have the chance to re-enter the construction industry in my life. I didn't expect that my dream would come true in the game. Yang Yongjun had a strange expression on his face. While using his vital essence to control the stones to build walls, he complained to the people around him. As a player, he used to think about doing this after graduation, but for some reason, Yang Yongjun eventually went into other industries. Then, because of the rise of the game, he quit his original job and worked hard in the game with peace of mind. This time, in order to build the city, the Qianyuan Sacred Ground also issued a task. In addition to the local people, there were also many players who participated. Hearing this, a male player smiled and said, "Anyway, it's not a difficult thing. Building the city will earn 1 merit point a day. Where else can you find such a good thing?" That's true. Yang Yongjun nodded. 1 merit point a day. This was simply a generous reward. Because according to the current merit point exchange mechanism set by the Qianyuan Sacred Ground, each merit point could be exchanged for 10 taels of silver. 10 merit points could be exchanged for 100 taels of silver. This was not the most important thing. 1 merit point could be exchanged for a true level martial arts technique. Although it was the lowest level, 10 merit points could be exchanged for a spirit level martial arts technique. 100 divine level points and 1,000 divine level points were divine level points. It could be said that cultivation techniques were still the biggest problem that troubled the players. And the role of merit points was not as simple as exchanging for cultivation techniques and martial arts techniques. There were other elixirs, spiritual weapons, and other things. They could all be exchanged with merit points. In this way, the role of merit points was even greater. Although there was a Yuan Pavilion in the human race, everyone could accept missions through the Yuan Pavilion and then exchange them for the resources they wanted. But the problem was, after the two emperors of the human race ruled the world, the tasks of the Yuan Pavilion had been greatly reduced. Not only that, the difficulty had also been greatly increased. Although the rewards were generous, the probability of completing it was very low. In this way, the role of the Yuan Pavilion had been greatly reduced. In the end, only the task of collecting information could be done. But in this way, the rewards were not much either. It was even more difficult to exchange for the things they wanted. So compared to the Yuan Pavilion, merit points were easier to obtain. Because according to the Qinyuan sacred ground, as long as they killed the powerhouses of the 10,000 races, they could obtain merit points. In this way, players naturally liked to come to the 10,000 race battlefield. He could level up and earn merit points by killing monsters, so why not? It was just that the 10,000 race battlefield had not opened yet, so they could not kill monsters for the time being. So players could only help to build the city and earn some merit points first. As for other things, they could be put aside for now. This time, when we enter the 10,000 race battlefield, players from the other three great worlds will definitely come. It won't be easy to deal with them. A player's side. Up until now, the players of the Eastern continent were also more familiar with the players of the other three continents. The four great worlds. They represented the players of the four worlds. Through understanding, the players of the Eastern continent also knew that the players of the other three worlds were all worlds that focused on cultivation. They were completely different from the Eastern continent, who had only recently embarked on cultivation. Yang Yongjun snorted coldly and said disdainfully, if it weren't for the siege of Emperor Qin last time, which led to the loss of many top players, the players of the other three great worlds would not have the chance to show off. This time, the opening of the 10,000 race battlefield will let them know who is boss. When it came to the players of the other three continents, he was also angry. There was no other reason. Yang Yongjun had also been killed by these players many times. The two sides could be regarded as mortal enemies. The players of the Eastern continent looked down on the players of the other three great worlds. The players of the other great worlds also looked down on each other. In their eyes, the world they were in was the best. The others were all country bumpkins. With this thought in mind, conflict naturally arose. And among the players, it was very normal to fight and steal monsters. Over and over again. The conflicts between the several sides were getting bigger and bigger. Originally, the strength of the players of the Eastern continent was not much weaker than the other players. But the main problem was, some time ago, the players of the Eastern continent were tricked by Qin Shujian. Then, they formed a team of tens of millions of people to besiege the big boss. In the end, they were all killed by the big boss. The loss was not small. It was also because of this. The strength of the players of the Eastern continent dropped by several levels. Until now, they had not fully recovered. Don't talk so much nonsense. There are only a few days left before the opening of the 10,000 race battlefield. We must build all the cities. Otherwise, everyone's merit points will be deducted. Xia Kun's cold voice sounded, directly interrupting the whispers of some people. Seeing this, the players who were in the midst of their discussion immediately shut their mouths. No one wanted to go against merit points. After all, there were merit points to be earned and benefits to be gained. Who would not want to do it? Instantly, everyone's speed of building the city also sped up a little. Elder Xia, the Sky Patrol godly general in charge of supervising, also walked over. How's the progress now? Xia Kun said calmly. As he spoke, his gaze fell on the city in front of him again. At this time, the city was beginning to take shape. Yang Xiao cupped his hands and said, it will definitely be completed before the opening of the 10,000 race battlefield. Good, there can't be any mistakes. If there's a problem, not only will you be in trouble, but I won't be able to escape the responsibility. Xia Kun reminded him. The city's matter was no small matter. As the supervisor, he could not escape from it. Hearing this, Yang Xiao said seriously, Elder Xia, don't worry. With me, Yang Xiao, there won't be a problem. That's for the best. Xiaokun nodded, then looked at Yang Xiu and said with a faint smile, I haven't seen you for a while. Divine General Yang, you have also broken through to the Divine Martial Realm. Speaking of which, there are still too few Sky Patrol guards now. Take advantage of it. It would be best if you can break through 1 or 2 small realms within a year. I will do my best and live up to your expectations. Yang Xiu looked excited. He understood what Xiaokun meant. If he could break through to the 2nd or 3rd level of the Divine Martial Realm, he would be qualified to compete for the position of Sky Patrol Commander. No, perhaps it was not a competition, but a chance to lead a new team of Sky Patrol guards. Just as Xiaokun said, although there were now a lot of Sky Patrol guards, compared to the status of the Qinyuan Sacred Ground, the number of Sky Patrol guards was still too small. But this was something that could not be helped. There were only so many strong people in the human clan, and the number of people who could form a Sky Patrol guard was also limited. But it was different now. In the past year, the number of human cultivators had increased greatly, and many people had broken through. As a result, there was no problem in expanding the Sky Patrol guards. Regarding this matter, Yang Xiu had always been paying attention. After all, any Divine General of the Sky Patrol Guards hoped to become the Sky Patrol Commander and lead a team of Sky Patrol Guards alone. But he knew it himself. His strength was still a little lacking. However, Xiaokun's words gave Yang Xiu hope. Yang Xiu was excited. Xiaokun just smiled slightly, but did not say anything more. Instead, he walked into the city that had not yet been built. Seeing this, Yang Xiu cupped his hands slightly and continued to supervise the construction. Walking into the city, Xiaokun's divine consciousness spread out, constantly scanning the city walls, checking for possible flaws. Whenever there was a problem, every time, he would stop and point out the loopholes. Qinyuan Realm. At the entrance of the main sect's courtyard, a green bull was lying there taking a nap. Ever since he became Qin Shujian's mount, Niudali moved from the demon vein and followed Qin Shujian into the Qinyuan realm to settle down. As for those beasts in the lion-tiger plain, they were still living there, and no one cared much about them. For Niudali, it did not make any difference where he went. The spiritual energy in the Qinyuan realm was rich, and he liked it more. If there was a difference, that was also true. It was just that a strange place was not as comfortable as his own demon ox cave. All of a sudden, Niudali felt something and reluctantly lifted his eyelids, just in time to see Su Yuanming walking over with a person. Seeing this, he closed his eyes again. He turned his body slightly, as if he wanted to change to a more comfortable way to sleep. Sigh, ever since I came here, the quality of my sleep has been much worse. I don't know when I can adjust. Niudali sighed in his heart. After letting out a yawn that was neither too big nor too small, he went back to sleep. On the other side, Su Yuanming had come in with a person. Your Majesty, Grand Secretary Fang Yilan from the Imperial Astronomer of Great Zhao is here, Su Yuanming said respectfully. Fang Yilan cupped her hands as well. Greetings, Your Majesty. Grand Secretary Fang, please take a seat. Qin Shujian smiled, then pointed at an empty seat in front of him. Fang Yilan cupped her hands and thanked him. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll be on my way. Su Yuanming took his leave. After he left, Qin Shujian turned to Fang Yilan and said casually, Grand Secretary Fang, why are you here in the Qinyuan realm of Binhuang? Or is there something you need from Emperor Zhao? The person in front of him, he had had a lot of dealings with her. It was just that things were different now, and Qin Shujian didn't think much of it. He just treated her as if nothing had happened. Hearing that, Fang Yilan cupped her hands again and said seriously, I'm here on Emperor Zhao's orders to ask for some formation discs for teleportation formations. Teleportation formations? That's right. Fang Yilan nodded and sighed. As you know, Your Majesty, the Eastern continent is too far away from the battlefield. If you want to use teleportation gates, you'll have to build several of them. But the more teleportation gates you build, the bigger the problem. Emperor Zhao heard that Your Majesty has teleportation formations that can directly connect the Eastern continent to the battlefield, so he sent me here to ask for some. Of course, if you have any conditions, feel free to tell me. Binhuang built the teleportation formation casually, so it doesn't cost me anything. Qin Shujian shook his head, then waved his sleeve. On the stone table, for formation discs had been placed on the table. Bin Huang doesn't have many teleportation formations at the moment, only 4. Although Bin Huang has engraved formations on them, they haven't been fully activated yet. After the formation discs are placed on the table, a formation grandmaster will engrave the formation for the teleportation gate, which will activate the formations inside. Once the two are combined, the teleportation formation will be ready. Qin Shujian briefly explained how to use the formation discs. Fang Yilan, who was sitting in front of him, had focused all her attention on the formation discs in front of her. In her eyes, there were patterns engraved on the formation discs. Each pattern looked ordinary, but they were connected together and had endless mysteries. Unknowingly, Fang Yilan was immersed in it. After 1 or 2 hours, she retracted her gaze from the formation discs, then carefully put them away. She looked at Qin Shujian with eyes full of admiration. "Your Majesty is number 1 in the Tao of formations. I thought I had achieved a lot in the Tao of formations. Today, after seeing your teleportation formation, I understand that there is always someone better." After speaking, Fang Yilan got up and bowed deeply to Qin Shujian. This bow, it was not a bow to the human emperor, but a bow to a pioneer in the Tao of formations. Originally, Fang Yilan didn't think that Qin Shujian's Tao of formations was comparable to hers. But now, she knew how big the gap between them was. After that, Fang Yilan left the Qian Yuan realm with the formation discs and immediately rushed to the Central State Prefecture to report. P.S. The second round of Qin Shujian's promotion event will officially end at 10 o'clock tonight. If you're interested in participating, you can check the comments section. Chapter 676. On the 10,000 clan battlefield. A month's time passed quickly. At this moment, the shadows of the emperors of each clan appeared, standing in the sky above their respective regions. "My emperor!" All the experts of the demon race bowed respectfully. The demon emperor's shadow was expressionless as he said indifferently, "The 10,000 clan battlefield has officially opened. Fight for the demon clan." "Yes, my emperor." All the demon clan powerhouses bowed and accepted the order. At the same time, the words of the emperors of the other clans were similar. In the human territory, Emperor Zhao didn't show up. Qin Shujian was the only one who occupied the entire human territory. "Greetings, Emperor Qin," Duan Sun and the others, as well as Qin Yuanbai and the others, all bowed respectfully. The human emperor, the emperor of the human clan. Anyone had to be respectful in front of the human emperor, even if Emperor Zhao was the leader of the Great Zhao Empire. But the people of the Great Zhao Empire also had to bow in front of Qin Shujian. "The 10,000 clan battlefield has opened. Please fight for the human clan and fight for the world. We obey the emperor's order." Everyone bowed. By the time they straightened up, Qin Shujian's shadow had disappeared. At this moment, all the human clan powerhouses looked extremely solemn. The 10,000 clan battlefield had officially opened. That meant that the human clan was about to enter a bloodbath. "Everyone, prepare for war." Duan Sun and Qin Yuanbai looked at each other across the air and finally turned around and shouted. As soon as they finished speaking, everyone went to their respective cities. 1 month. The human clan had established a total of 18 cities in the human territory. Among them, there were 9 cities in the Great Zhao Empire and 9 cities in the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. In the 9 cities of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground, 4 cities were in front as the vanguard. 3 cities were in the middle as reinforcements. 2 cities were in the back to deal with emergencies. Among the 9 cities, the Sacred City was the main city. Qin Yuanbai looked at Yin Banqing and the others and said in a deep voice, "Go to the 4 cities of you, Fang, Hong, and Huang immediately. You must ensure that the human clan's front line is safe." "Okay." Yin Banqing and the others looked at each other and nodded solemnly. At this moment, no one was under Qin Yuanbai's command. Among the many elders of the Holy Land, his cultivation was the highest. As for those with higher cultivation, they were not considered true elders of the Holy Land, so their status was lower by a level. Subsequently, Qin Yuanbai looked at King Golden Rock and King Azure Billow and said, "Both of you have broken through to the Saint Realm. Your strength can be regarded as the strongest in the Qinyuan sacred ground. I hope you too can help defend the city. Don't worry. Unless I die in battle, I won't let the human race lose even an inch of land, the Golden Rock King said seriously. Then I'll have to trouble you. Qin Yuanbai nodded and turned around to leave. He was going to the sacred city. This was because Xiao Chengfeng, the commander of the human tribe, lived in the holy city. Now, the 10,000 tribe battlefield had officially opened. There were some things that one had to look down on. Holy City. In the city lord's mansion, Qin Yuanbai successfully met Xiao Chengfeng. Why is Elder Qin here? Looking at the person before him, Xiao Chengfeng smiled faintly. The clouds were calm and the wind was light. It was as if he didn't care about anything. Qin Yuanbai didn't care too much and said directly, Patriarch Xiao should know that the 10,000 clan battlefield has opened. What should the Qinyuan sacred ground do next? Xiao Chengfeng was no longer Marquis Baiyun. Therefore, he could only call him Patriarch. Or else, it was really not easy to call him Patriarch Xiao Chengfeng. Xiao Chengfeng said, What the Qinyuan sacred ground wants to do is up to you. You don't have to ask me. Although I promised Emperor Qin to guard the human tribe's territory. However, it doesn't mean that I will intervene in the affairs of the 10,000 clan battlefield. What the human tribe wants to do is up to you. Moreover, don't think that I will immediately rescue you if the foreign race attacks. Unless you really have no way to resist, I will not intervene. Otherwise, no matter how many of you die, I will still not intervene. Xiao Chengfeng's words made Qin Yuanbai's face extremely ugly. According to the other party's words, the role of the person in front of him was equivalent to the human tribe's bottom line. Before crossing this bottom line, no matter how miserable the situation was, the other party would not intervene. In this way, the Qinyuan sacred ground had one less big killer. Patriarch Xiao, Emperor Qin means, Emperor Qin just asked me to guard the human tribe's territory. He did not force me to intervene. If Elder Qin has any questions, you can go to Emperor Qin. Xiao Chengfeng directly interrupted Qin Yuanbai. Then he looked at the other party and said calmly, But Elder Qin, don't forget that Emperor Qin opened the 10,000 clan battlefield to fight for the general trend of the world and to train the soldiers of the human tribe. If I intervene in everything, what is the point of the human tribe entering the 10,000 clan battlefield? Since the birth of the human tribe, countless people have died in battle, but the number of strong masters born is also immeasurable. Everyone's death is to pave the way for the birth of strong masters. Only when enough strong masters are born can the inheritance of the human tribe be guaranteed. If we can't even survive the 10,000 clan battlefield, how can the human tribe survive for hundreds of millions of years? How can we resist the great tribulation of the demonic abyss? While speaking, Xiao Chengfeng had a sarcastic smile on his face. I know you think that Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin are enough for the human tribe, but a true immortal only has a lifespan of 120,000 years. Without Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin, will the human tribe be destroyed? I can tell you clearly that the human tribe has never been passed down by one or two strong masters, but by the strength of all of the human tribe. After speaking, Xiao Chengfeng seemed to be a little tired. He waved his hand and directly drove him away. That's all I have to say. Elder Qin, you should go. Don't come over if there's nothing else. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai bowed slightly and said solemnly, I'll take my leave. After speaking, he straightened up. Qin Yuanbai turned around and left. Xiao Chengfeng's words also made him sober up. Yes, the human tribe had never been passed down by anyone. At present, the human tribe had Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin. That was the human tribe's honor, but it was not a reason for the human tribe to rely on the two emperors and live a stable life. The human tribe must take this opportunity to produce more strong masters. That was the only way. Only then could the human tribe be truly powerful. So, Qin Yuanbai left. He left very decisively. Now that things had been clarified, Xiao Chengfeng's side could be ignored. Next, to face the 10,000 clans, they could only rely on the Qinyuan sacred ground. They could not rely on any external forces. He left the sacred city. Qin Yuanbai went directly to Yu City. At this time, Most of the human tribe cultivators were gathered in the 4 frontline cities. In the city lord's mansion. How is it? Is there any news from Xiao Chengfeng? Yin Banqing asked directly when Qin Yuanbai returned. Regarding this, Qin Yuanbai shook his head and said, Xiao Chengfeng can't do anything. Unless the city is breached, he should not intervene. Now the 10,000 clan battlefield has officially opened. Have you sent out any scouts to inquire about the news? The scouts have been sent out, but there will definitely be no news back in a short time. Yin Banqing said. Qin Yuanbai sat down in his seat and picked up the teacup on the side. The biggest problem of the sacred ground now is that there are no strong masters who can take charge. Although we are diviners, we are only at the transcendent realm. As for the other clans, even the weakest one must have a powerful master. In this way, if the sacred ground wants to attack, it will be a big problem. Qin Yuanbai took a sip of tea and sighed. The biggest problem of the Qinyuan sacred ground. It was that there were no powerful masters in charge. Relying on the strength of the sacred ground and the assistance of the array, he had some confidence in the defense of the land. But it would be extremely difficult to attack the other clans. Fighting for the general trend of heaven and earth. There was no reason for the human clan to only defend and not attack. If they wanted to train their troops, there was no possibility of letting the other party attack them. Yin Banqing frowned, and his expression was not very good. Attacking the other clans and fighting for the general trend of heaven and earth. According to Emperor Qin, the Great Zhao should be the main force. After all, the crown prince of the Great Zhao, Shiyang, is a powerful master in the 9th level of the diviner realm. With his peak strength, he has no problem fighting against the great saint of the demon clan. If there is a ranking in the 10,000 clan battlefield, Shiyang can probably be ranked in the top 10 or top 20. Shiyang was very strong. But the problem was that the other party was the crown prince of the Great Zhao. Although the Qinyuan sacred ground and the Great Zhao were both human clans, they did not look at it that way. Qin Yuanbai said, although there is nothing wrong with the 2 emperors ruling the world, if the general trend of heaven and earth is completed by the Great Zhao, it will only show that the Qinyuan sacred ground is useless. At that time, Emperor Qin will have no face in front of Emperor Zhao. If Emperor Qin really wants to punish us, you and I can't afford it. The stronger they were, the more they cared about face. If all the credit went to the Great Zhao, the Qinyuan sacred ground would be in a very awkward situation. But there is nothing we can do about it. Yin Banqing shook his head and sighed. Without a powerful figure, what can we do? The strongest in the sacred ground should be the Golden Rock King and the Blue Wave King. But they have just broken through to the Saint Realm, and their strength is not considered strong among the 10,000 clans. They are still far from being able to attack the city and seize the land. What was the difference between 2 4th-tier celestial beings leading a team to attack the city? Qin Yuanbai said, Brother Yin, don't forget that our sacred ground still has a few guests. The Vermilion Bird clans Huashang, the 1,000-pupil clans Jizhou, and the mountain-breaking clans Wushan are all in the 8th tier of the celestial being realm. They are guests of the sacred ground, so there is no difference between clans. I plan to ask Emperor Qin to let them come over, so that the Qinyuan sacred ground can have more resources. That's good. I will be away for a while. Brother Yin, please guard Yu City. Don't worry, Yu City will not be lost. Yin Banqing smiled confidently. Seeing this, Qin Yuanbai did not waste any time. He directly went to the sacred city through the portal in Yu City, and then returned to Liangshan City through the transmission array in the sacred city. Elder Qin, the disciple who was guarding the teleportation formations, saw Qin Yuanbai immediately and bowed to greet him. Qin Yuanbai waved his hand and immediately went to the Qinyuan realm. Why is Elder Qin in such a hurry? I don't know. Maybe there is a problem at the 10,000 clan battlefield. The 2 disciples talked secretly, but they did not think too much about it. In the Qinyuan realm, as soon as Qin Yuanbai arrived at the foot of the main sect mountain, he heard Qin Shujian's voice, "Come up." The voice had just disappeared. A big man with 2 horns on his head came down from the mountain, looked at Qin Yuanbai and said, "I am here to bring Elder Qin up the mountain." "Well, thank you, Elder Niu." Qin Yuanbai was stunned for a moment, but he quickly came back to his senses. As for Nyo Dali, he also knew him. The master of the demon vein was also an elder of the Qinyuan sacred ground. More importantly, Nyo Dali was now the mount of the human emperor. He was a 7th-grade official in front of the prime minister. As the mount of the human emperor, Nyo Dali was not a real elder of the sacred ground, but he was better than a real elder of the sacred ground. What's more, when Qin Yuanbai faced Nyo Dali, he felt a strong oppression. It could be seen that the bull demon in front of him was much stronger than him. So, Qin Yuanbai did not dare to be rude. It didn't take long for Nyo Dali to take him to the gate of the courtyard and said, "The Qin Emperor is inside. You can go in by yourself." After that, he transformed back into his real body and then lay down on the side to sleep. "Thank you." Qin Yuanbai cupped his hands and then walked into the courtyard. He just happened to see Qin Shujian sitting there and sipping tea. 3 steps became 2 steps. Qin Yuanbai bowed and saluted. Qin Yuanbai greets the Qin Emperor. "Elder Qin, you are not in the 10,000 clan battlefield. Why did you suddenly come here?" Qin Shujian asked curiously. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai replied truthfully, reporting to the Qin Emperor, "Now the Qinyuan sacred ground is in the 10,000 clan battlefield and lacks powerful masters. Although Shao Chengfeng is in the sacred city, it can be said that it is enough to defend but not enough to attack. Therefore, I plan to borrow a few people from the Qin Emperor to expand the territory of the Qinyuan sacred ground. It is not necessary to let Da Zhao do everything." After that, Qin Shujian did not immediately reply. His fingers tapped on the stone table gently. "Who do you want?" "Vermilion Bird Clan Huashang, 1,000-pupil Clan Jizhou, and Mountain-Breaking Clan Wushan," Qin Yuanbai said truthfully. "Huasheng Bin Huang can be given to you, but not Jizhou and Wushan for the time being. However, in addition to Huasheng, Nyo Dali outside the courtyard can also go back to the 10,000 clan battlefield with you." Qin Shujian picked up the teacup and took a sip. Nyo Dali." The corner of Qin Yuanbai's mouth twitched slightly. He thought of Nyo Dali's big and burly appearance, coupled with the way Qin Shujian addressed him. It sounded strange. However, Qin Yuanbai did not reveal too much and then asked, "What is Elder Nyo's strength now?" "He is in the 6th tier of the celestial being realm. It won't be long before he breaks through to the 7th tier of the celestial being realm. His strength is not weak, so there should be no problem for him to stand alone." "I see." Qin Yuanbai secretly took a breath. 6th tier of the celestial being realm. He was about to break through to the 7th tier of the celestial being realm. Such strength was enough to rank in the top 5 of the Qinyuan sacred ground. Compared to Nyo Dali, Qin Yuanbai found that he was really too weak. Subsequently, Qin Shujian took out a jade talisman and placed it directly in front of Qin Yuanbai. "This is Ben Huang's token. You go to the territory of the Vermilion Bird clan and crush it. Huashang will naturally go to the 10,000 clan battlefield with you." "Thank you, Qin Emperor." Qin Yuanbai respectfully put away the jade talisman and then said, "The 10,000 clan battlefield has just opened. There must be other things happening, so I won't stay for long. Go. Remember, you must guard every inch of the territory of the human race. Even if you can't compete for the general trend of the world, you can't give up the general trend that you already have." Qin Shujian looked solemn. Qin Yuanbai nodded heavily and then immediately left. Outside the courtyard, Blue Ox was sleeping soundly. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in his ears, waking him up directly. "Accompany Qin Yuanbai to the 10,000 clan battlefield. During this period, you must listen to Qin Yuanbai's orders. There must be no mistakes." "Yes." Nyo Dali did not dare to refute and immediately turned into his human form. At this time, Qin Yuanbai happened to walk out of the courtyard. "Elder Nyo, Qin Emperor has already told me. Elder Qin, please." Nyo Dali looked unhappy and said in a muffled voice. Seeing this, although Qin Yuanbai felt strange, he did not think much about it. "Please." Then, the two left the East Continent together. After leaving the East Continent, Qin Yuanbai took Nyo Dali directly to the territory of the Vermilion Bird clan. Because of their separation from the demon race, The territory of the Vermilion Bird clan was also in the territory of the human race. Aren't we going to the 10,000 clan battlefield? It doesn't seem to be in this direction. On the way, Nyodali also had some doubts. He had been to the 10,000 clan battlefield once and remembered that it was in the south. Now that Qin Yuanbai was going in the wrong direction. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai said with a smile, "We need to go to the territory of the Vermilion Bird clan first to find Fire Sage, and then go to the 10,000 clan battlefield together." All right. Nyodali had nothing to say. He was now displeased with Qin Yuanbai. If the other party had not suddenly arrived, he would not have lost the opportunity to sleep and follow him to the 10,000 clan battlefield. Who knew how long this trip would take? What if he was in the 10,000 clan battlefield for decades? Thinking of his next few decades, he might fight in the 10,000 clan battlefield and never have the chance to sleep again. Nyodali felt that his life was a piece of darkness. Regarding Nyodali's thoughts, Qin Yuanbai was not sure. What he needed to do now was to go to the Vermilion Bird clan and find Fire Sage, this big helper. In Qin Yuanbai's opinion, although Nyodali was strong, he was not as strong as Fire Sage. So, Fire Sage, who was in the 8th level of the Celestial Being realm, was the main force. It did not take long. They had already arrived at the territory of the Vermilion Bird clan. At this moment, the powerhouses of the Vermilion Bird clan also noticed the arrival of Qin Yuanbai and Nyodali. Suddenly, a celestial appeared and asked politely, "May I ask where you two are from and what is the matter?" "I am an elder of the Qinyuan sacred ground. I am here to see Fire Sage on the order of the Qin Emperor." "So it is an elder of the Qinyuan sacred ground. Please come in." The Vermilion Bird clan celestial was shocked, and his attitude was much more respectful. The Vermilion Bird clan was now a vassal of the human race. The Qinyuan sacred ground was the old master of the Vermilion Bird clan. The higher-ups had come. The Vermilion Bird clan celestial did not dare to neglect. After entering the main hall of the Vermilion Bird clan, as soon as Qin Yuanbai and Nyodali sat down, Fire Sage had already floated over. "Elder Qin, Leader Nyo." Seeing the two of them, Fire Sage also politely cupped his hands. Especially for Nyodali, there was an inexplicable fear in her eyes. After Fire Sage sat down, he looked at the two of them and asked, "I wonder if the two of you have come here because of the Qin Emperor's orders?" "The Qin Emperor hopes that Fire Sage will go to the 10,000 clan battlefield with me." While speaking, Qin Yuanbai took out a jade talisman. "This is the Qin Emperor's jade talisman. Fire Sage, just crush it." Seeing this, Fire Sage took the jade talisman and crushed it directly. Suddenly, a subtle fluctuation spread out from it. Soon, the fluctuation dissipated, and Fire Sage woke up again. She looked at Qin Yuanbai and said with a faint smile, "I have received the Qin Emperor's order. Elder Qin will take charge of the next matter. In that case, you and I don't have to waste time. Let's go back to the cold mountain city of the eastern continent first, and then go to the 10,000 clan battlefield through the teleportation array." "Okay, please." Qin Yuanbai got up. Immediately, he left the Vermilion Bird clan's territory with Fire Sage and Nyodali. However, before leaving, Fire Sage also left with a group of Vermilion Bird clan cultivators. The 10,000 clan battlefield. It was the place where the 10,000 clans trained their troops. Fire Sage did not want the Vermilion Bird clan to let go of this opportunity. After all, there were too few Vermilion Bird clan experts now. It would be great if they could take this opportunity to produce a group of experts. On the other side, the 10,000 clan battlefield. With the official opening of the 10,000 clan battlefield, the various clans had already taken the lead in initiating a dispute. The demon clan cultivators were like a long dragon, rushing straight to one of the small clans. Before the demon clan army completely stepped into the territory of the small clans, the scouts sent out by the small clans had already noticed the presence of the demon clan army. In the city, a god martial arts realm cultivator knelt down on one knee and reported anxiously, "Report, traces of the demon clan army have been found 2,000 miles away from our territory. We suspect that they are coming for our clan." "What?" Wan Quan's expression instantly turned ugly. The demon clan army was coming for them. This was something he had never expected. Because the illusion clan was just a small clan, it was not eye-catching at all among the 10,000 clans. More importantly, the illusion clan had never had any conflicts with the demon clan. At this time, the demon clan should be attacking the human clan. Why would they attack the illusion clan? Huan Quan could not figure it out, but he also knew that now was not the time for him to think too much. Quick, immediately send someone to contact the nearby clans. Tell them that the demon clan is attacking our illusion clan. Tell them to quickly send reinforcements. Otherwise, if our illusion clan is defeated, they will be next. Huan Quan immediately ordered. The surrounding illusion clan experts all nodded and accepted the order. The news of the demon clan army. The faces of the experts from the illusory tribe turned extremely ugly. They even felt fear in their hearts. There was no other way. The demon clan's reputation was too great. Compared to a top clan like the demon clan, the illusion clan was like a small ant that could be destroyed with a wave of the hand. But this was only in the 10,000 clan battlefield. The demon emperor could not take action. In addition, the demon clan had suffered heavy losses. That was why the illusion clan did not collapse as soon as they heard about the demon clan's attack. After the others left, an illusion clan expert said in a deep voice, "The scouts found the traces of the demon clan army 2,000 miles away. They might not be coming for our illusion clan." Humph, if they are not coming for our illusion clan, do you think the demon clan is just passing by? Huan Quan shouted angrily. Within a radius of a few thousand miles, only our illusion clan exists. If they want to attack other clans, there is no need to come within 2,000 miles of our territory. The demon clan is clearly attacking our illusion clan. At this time, you still dare to be careless? Do you want to die? Immediately pass down my order. Tell all the illusion clan cultivators to be on alert. The entire city is on level 1 alert. Do your best to defend against the demon clan's attack. Yes. The illusion clan expert who spoke was flustered. Then, he bowed and took the order. Inside the city lord mansion, only Huan Quan was left. There were no outsiders present. Now, his face was dignified, mixed with a trace of fear. Damn it. Why did the demon clan choose our illusion clan to attack? Aren't the demon clan and the human clan sworn enemies? Why didn't they attack the human clan at this time? Why did they attack our illusion clan? Huan Quan's mind was spinning wildly. He was thinking. He was thinking about the demon clan's purpose. Soon, Huan Quan stopped thinking, and his face turned ugly. The demon clan is not confident in dealing with the human clan, so they want to take this opportunity to swallow our small clans. Then, they will accumulate enough strength to deal with the human clan. In other words, our illusion clan has become the meat that fattens the demon clan. Thinking of this, Huan Quan was even more furious. The demon clan did this because they thought the illusion clan was the easiest to deal with. But what made him sad was, the strength of the illusion clan was indeed like this in front of the demon clan. Staying in the city lord mansion was depressing. Huan Quan directly left here and went to the city wall. At this time, the news that the demon clan was about to attack had spread out. The situation in the city suddenly became tense. Many illusion clan people showed fear on their faces. The entire city, panic filled the air. Seeing this, Huan Quan's heart sank. If this continued, the illusory race would collapse on its own. Immediately, he looked at the people in the city and shouted, "It's just an attack from the demon clan. There is nothing to be afraid of." The demon clan is no longer the demon clan of the past. After many battles, the demon clan's strength has been greatly reduced. In the 10,000 clan battlefield, demon emperors can't take action. The demon clan can only send a limited number of experts. Although our illusion clan is not as strong as the demon clan, we are not much weaker. Now, other clans are coming to support us. As long as we hold on, the threat of the demon clan will be easily solved. With me here, the city will not fall. The illusion clan will win. His voice was very loud, covering the entire city. Although not many people believed Huan Quan's words, it dispelled the fear in many people's hearts, especially when he said that there would be support. It made them feel relieved. After barely raising the morale of the army, Huan Quan did not relax. He continued, "From today onwards, the Illusion Clan will also earn merit points. Whoever kills a member of the true martial demon clan will be rewarded with 1 merit point. Whoever kills a member of the spiritual martial demon clan will be rewarded with 10 merit points. Whoever kills a member of the divine martial demon clan will be rewarded with 100 merit points. Whoever kills a member of the heavenly human clan or demon clan will be rewarded with at least 500 merit points. The merit points can be exchanged for cultivation techniques, martial arts, and even elixirs and weapons." As soon as he said this, the morale was instantly raised. Seeing this, Huan Quan was also sweating profusely. He had heard about the merit points from the human clan. Originally, Huan Quan did not intend to set up a plan to earn merit points. After all, the Illusion Clan was only a small clan. They could not take out so many resources. But looking at the current situation, without enough motivation, the clansmen would not have the heart to fight. So, he could only put in a lot of effort. "I hope that my emperor will not blame me," Huan Quan said to himself. If the Illusion Emperor heard this news, he would not blame him. I'm afraid that's impossible. Merit points. The Illusion Clan is willing to use merit points. It seems that this trip was not in vain. The players below all had a look of joy on their faces. Almost every force in the myriad races had players. Their purpose: they wanted to take advantage of the war between the clans to earn enough experience points and other benefits. Although the Illusion Clan was small, that was relative to the other clans. For those players, no matter how small the clan was, it was still a force that they could not reach. So, some players had their eyes on the Illusion Clan. However, the illusory race had not given out any quests, and the players who had stayed behind were starting to think of retreating. At this moment, Huan Quan's announcement of the merit points system was naturally to encourage them. A male player was eager to give it a try. He smiled and said, "I wonder how many soldiers there are in the Demon Clan this time. Will it be enough for us to kill? A spirit martial realm is worth 10 merit points. Who knows what 10 merit points can be exchanged for? Don't be happy too early." A player poured cold water on them. Hearing this, the male player did not care. "I already know about the merit point system of the human clan. The rewards are not bad at all. Since the Illusion Clan also uses the merit point system, it should be about the same. Hehe, if it can be the same as the human clan, no, it doesn't need to be the same as the human clan. We won't lose out with 70 to 80%. The other players chuckled as well. In their opinion, it should be very difficult for the Illusion Clan to compare with the human clan. Small clans were also destined to have scarce resources, but these players were also mentally prepared. They did not expect the Illusion Clan to have the same rewards as the human clan. As long as the difference was not too great, they could accept it. Just as the morale was being mobilized, the Demon Clan army also officially entered the Illusion Clan's territory. Suddenly, the illusory race's scout reported the news. In fact, there was no need to report back. The Demon Clan army's momentum was astonishing. The Illusion Clan experts in various cities all noticed it immediately. "Activate the formation," Huan Quan directly ordered. Suddenly, the formation in the Illusion Clan's territory was activated. On the other side, as soon as Saint Azure stepped into the Illusion Clan's territory, he felt that the surrounding environment had changed. He was already in a plain, surrounded by an army in all directions. Then, they charged toward him and the others. The army charged. The massacre covered the sky and the sun. Illusion formation. Saint Azure frowned. He felt that there was a mysterious force around him that wanted to affect his mind. It was just that the force was not strong. There was no way to make a 9th-level celestial being demon saint completely fall into the illusion. It's just an illusion formation. It's not a good method. After figuring out the situation, Saint Azure shook his head. Then, he blasted a palm forward. The palm energy tore the sky and split the earth, directly wiping out all the charging army. The next moment, a terrifying force rose from his body. Then, he struck out 2 more palms, shaking the formation violently. Then, boom! The illusion formation shattered. There was a faint light flashing on the ground, and then it dissipated inch by inch like starlight. An illusion formation also wants to trap. The illusion formation shattered. Saint Azure smiled proudly. Just as he was about to mock, his face suddenly changed, and then it became gloomy. Because in front of him, 100,000 demon clan army turned into minced meat. And where the minced meat was, a huge palm print appeared. Saint Azure knew that it was the mark left behind by his own attack. Then, when he turned his head to look at the other demon clans, he found that many of them were also injured. Obviously, they were seriously injured in the illusion just now. Clap, clap. The sound of applause sounded. Huan Quan stood on top of the city wall, looking at Saint Azure and clicking his tongue in wonder. Saint Azure's strength is indeed formidable. 100,000 demon clans are gone with a slap. You're ruthless when killing outsiders, but you also don't show mercy when killing your own people. Huan Quan, you're courting death. Humph, your demon clan dares to invade my illusory race. You're also courting death. It's still not too late to retreat now. Facing Saint Azure's threat, Huan Quan was not the slightest bit afraid. Not that he was really not afraid, but there was no need to be afraid. The demon clan army already came, making it clear that they wanted to attack his illusory race. Since they were already enemies, then there was nothing to say. Rather than saying nice words, might as well do it as he liked. Attack the city. Saint Azure waved his hand. The demon clan army immediately attacked the 3 cities. Subsequently, he took a step and rose into the air, charging over toward Huan Quan on top of the city wall. Today, I'll kill you, then take down all of the illusory race's territories, and let your illusory race be the first to withdraw from the myriad race battlefield. Wishful thinking. Huan Quan was also not afraid. He similarly rose into the air, charging over towards Saint Azure. Illusory race. As the name implied, the most powerful was illusionary art. As a powerhouse in the illusory race, Huan Quan's illusionary art even reached a transcendent level. The moment he made his move, Saint Azure was already standing in the void in a daze. You're dead meat. Seeing this, killing intent emerged in Huan Quan's eyes. He instantly went straight for Saint Azure's head. Fighting with the illusory race was like this. A moment of carelessness. There was the danger of dying. It was just that Huan Quan's attack had yet to completely touch Saint Azure when Saint Azure, who fell into the illusion, already woke up. Bang! 2 fists collided. Huan Quan's arm cracked, directly bombarded until he fell back in the void. Illusionary art, just a small trick. Saint Azure grinned hideously, instantly charging toward Huan Quan. At the same time, the demon clan army was already fighting with the illusory race army. The illusory race powerhouses. They set up illusion arrays one after another, attempting to make the demon clan cultivators fall into a state of mutual destruction. However, among the demon clan's almighties who attacked this time, it was not just Saint Azure alone. Ordinary illusionary art. In front of an almighty powerhouse, it was completely useless. Therefore, the illusionary art had just been set up not long ago, and it was mostly broken. A demon saint took action and directly tore an illusory race celestial apart. Blood rained down from the void, making the illusory race cultivators shocked and furious. Kill. After that demon saint tore apart an illusory race celestial, he immediately charged toward another illusory race celestial. Looking at the illusory race's side again, other than Huan Quan, there were only 2 other almighties left. However, these 2 almighties had just broken through to the 7th level of the celestial being realm. Even if they joined forces, they could barely contend against a demon saint. This time, in the demon clan army, a total of 5 demon saints took action, not to mention the remaining celestials. It was almost a face-to-face confrontation. The illusory race fell into a complete defeat. Wanna kill me? It's not that easy. Let's die together. Bang! A seriously injured illusory race celestial self-destructed, blasting a demon saint back repeatedly. However, the celestial's self-destruction did not save the illusory race from the disadvantage. Bang! The city wall collapsed. Many illusory race cultivators were seriously injured. Compared to the Demon Clan army, the illusory race's strength was really too weak. The two were simply not on the same level. Bang! A person fell from the void. Huan Quan's physical body collapsed, and blood flowed like a pillar. Saint Azure stood in the air, looking at Huan Quan with his hands behind his back, a sinister smile on his face. The illusory race will definitely lose today. P.S. The last round of the Qin Shu Jian character promotion event has begun. If you want to participate, you can take a look at the details of the event in the comments section. Chapter 677. Rumble. A tyrannical aura came over. Several major powerhouses suddenly appeared. I've long heard of Saint Azure's great name. Today, I'll experience it too. A hearty voice came over. Following that, a person stepped on the air and came over, directly bombarding a punch towards Saint Azure. Saint Azure's expression did not change. Turning around, he similarly punched out. Bang! Two fists collided, the void exploded. Saint Azure's body swayed slightly, but the arrival retreated very far. Why? Does the Ice Sparrow clan want to be enemies with my demon race too? Saint Azure's eyes were cold as he looked at the arrival and said indifferently. While talking, the thin layer of frost on his fist had already quietly melted away. Hearing that, Bai Na suppressed the surging vital energy and blood in his body without changing his expression and said with a faint smile, "The myriad race battlefield opened. What's there to be said about being enemies or not? The Ice Sparrow clan doesn't want to make a move against the demon race. But the logic of being cold without lips, I also understand. Today, the illusionary race is exterminated. I'm afraid that the demon race's troops will target my Ice Sparrow clan tomorrow. Therefore, the illusionary race can't be exterminated today. I hope that Saint Azure can be magnanimous enough to forgive." Looks like you're already determined to be so. Saint Azure's expression was icy cold. He shifted his gaze away from Bai Na, then looked at the other few major powers. These major powerhouses also all came from different small races. Bai Na said in a solemn voice, "Our various races' armies are already rushing over. Saint Azure, why do you have to make things difficult for us, the small races? Why not retreat here and now? You and I will take it as if nothing happened today." "You're threatening this, Saint. I'm just stating the facts. If we, the small races, resist desperately, I believe that the demon race will also suffer considerable losses." Bai Na's expression was calm as he said, "The demon race should have quite a few enemies too, right? How can the contest of heaven and earth's general trend be so easy? The human race, Blood Eldar, as well as the other races, are likely also eyeing the demon race. Our small races also don't ask for too much under the surging general trend. We just hope to be able to protect ourselves. This saint will see if you all have this strength or not." As his words faded, Saint Azure made his move. Bang! A horrifying power spread out. Bai Na's expression changed, but he did not retreat either. On the other side, Huan Quan also eased up and joined forces with Bai Na, charging over towards Saint Azure. From beginning to end, the two of them had never thought that they could make the demon race retreat with just a few words. Battle. It was inevitable. However, Huan Quan's heart calmed down. Right now, the various races' allied forces were on their way over. Bai Na's strength was also at the 8th stage of the heaven-human realm. Even if two 8th stage celestial realm experts were no match for a 9th stage celestial realm expert, it was not a big problem for them to maintain the situation and not lose. Meanwhile, as the mighty figures of several clans joined in, the monster saints of the monster clan were all intercepted. However, the demon race's army was still large in number, and there were also quite a number of celestial being experts accompanying the army. The illusory race still hadn't recovered from their disadvantage. Human territory. Yu City. Qin Yuanbai brought Fire Sage and Yodali back through Cold Mountain City's teleportation array and returned to the 10,000 tribes battlefield. Is this the 10,000 races battlefield? Yodali raised his head and looked at the sky. It was a sky that should have been clear. At this moment, there was a faint blood-red color covering it. It was the color of blood condensed from slaughter. Nyodali wasn't the only one who noticed this. Even Holy Fire had noticed this. Killing has materialized so quickly. Didn't the 10,000 races battlefield just open? Holy Fire was secretly shocked. Just how many living beings would have to fall in order to achieve such a feat? How long had the 10,000 races battlefield been open? It had only been a few days. But even so, the slaughter had already reached such a tragic level. Qin Yuanbai sighed. When I left the 10,000 races battlefield, there wasn't such a strong killing intent. Now it has become like this. It's really unexpected. Fortunately, from the looks of it, the human race didn't have any major problems. Back in the City Lord Mansion, Yin Bancheng was already sitting there. As Qin Yuanbai entered, he also saw Nyo Dali and Holy Fire. Vain Master Nyo, Holy Fire, Elderine. The two didn't act impolitely and cupped their hands slightly in response. After they took their seats, Qin Yuanbai said, "During the few days I was away, did the human race make any movements?" The scouts sent back news. Yin Bancheng nodded and replied, "The monster clan sent an army to attack the illusion race. The Blood Eldar also targeted a small clan. At the same time, many clans sent cultivators to our human race's territory to investigate. However, most of the cultivators who came to investigate have been killed by us. So far, no army has stepped into our territory. In that case, they plan to deal with the small clans first, then accumulate strength before turning around to deal with the human race." In an instant, Qin Yuanbai knew the plan of these large clans. Obviously, the human race was a tough bone that no one wanted to bite. If they fought with the human race and both sides suffered losses, it would only be taken advantage of by others. In this way, the target of these large clans was naturally those small clans. But we can't rule out that they just want to confuse the human race. They want to wait for us to let down our guard and then attack the human race's territory in one fell swoop. Qin Yuanbai also thought of another possibility. Now that they were fighting for the general trend of the world, anything could happen. Thinking of this, Qin Yuanbai took out a map and looked at it seriously. This was the map of the 10,000 races battlefield. Last time, he walked through the entire 10,000 races battlefield with Xia Kun. In the end, he relied on his photographic memory to draw it. On the map, there were many small marks. Every place marked represented a clan's power. As for the human race, it was located in the east of the 10,000 races battlefield. It was a very good geographical location with its back against the border of the 10,000 races battlefield. If the other clans wanted to attack the human race, they could not go around the back and could only attack from the front. This was also very consistent with the current situation of the human race. Because the human race occupied the entire East continent, if the other clans wanted to attack the human race, they could only go through the canyon that Qin Shujian had cut and attack the human race from the front. It was the same for the 4 major continents. It was the same for the 10,000 races battlefield. The human race still has some innate advantages. We don't have to be attacked from all sides like some other clans, and need to disperse our forces too much to defend, Qin Yuanbai said, then paused for a moment before continuing. It's a good thing that the other clans are not attacking the human race now. However, the purpose of the 10,000 races battlefield, apart from fighting for the general trend of the world, is to train the troops. If the human race keeps defending passively, it won't have the effect of training the troops. Elder Qin, what do you mean? It's very simple. The human race should take the initiative to attack. Qin Yuanbai pointed at the blank areas on the map. Not every inch of land in the 4 major continents is the territory of others. As a miniature version of the 4 major continents, the 10,000 races battlefield naturally has many blank territories. These territories are also the targets of the other clans. If our race doesn't attack the other clans, we can send people over to fight for some of these places. These places are not connected to the territory of the human race. If we occupy them, it will be difficult to take care of each other. Yin Bancheng shook his head and said, those blank areas were some distance away from the human race. If they occupied those places, it would be difficult for the human race to defend them. Qin Yuanbai said, our goal is not to defend the city, but to train the troops. Moreover, When the Qin Emperor refined the 10,000 races battlefield, he fused the blood essence of the emperors of the 10,000 races. There was no lack of perfected immortals among them. The blood essence of these experts is enough to produce many treasures. We might not need them, but the other disciples and cultivators of the 10,000 races do. Now that we send people over, we can fight with the 10,000 races and train the troops. It's also a good thing to be able to plunder some resources. Qin Yuanbai had never forgotten. If the human race didn't fight for the general trend of the world, their only real purpose was to train the troops. Now, the human race had the conditions to produce enough experts. But the problem was, the remaining time of the human race was not enough to support the birth of those experts under normal circumstances. In this way, therefore, extreme measures had to be used. Using war to support war. Using soldiers to support soldiers. In today's world of great battles, the strong would naturally survive and the weak would be defeated. Hearing this, Huasheng and Yo Dali didn't speak. For them, Qin Yuanbai could decide whatever he wanted. Anyway, their main purpose was to be the human race's assistant. Yin Banqing pondered for a moment and said slowly, "That's fine. Contact the other cities. If it's appropriate, let someone lead a team over." As Qin Yuanbai spoke, he suddenly paused and asked, "Is there any movement from the Great Zhao Empire?" The Great Zhao Empire is now mobilizing troops and seems to be attacking a certain clan, but the news is secretive and there is no news for the time being. Yin Banqing shook his head and said, "If the Great Zhao Empire wanted to attack other clans, they naturally had to keep it a secret. It was not easy for the Qinyuan sacred ground to find out the news. At this time, the flames of war had been completely ignited on the 10,000 race battlefield. The general trend of heaven and earth. It was the foundation that determined whether a clan could completely rise in the world of great battles. The continuation of a clan. It was inseparable from the support of the general trend. So, as soon as the 10,000 race battlefield opened, there were clans that took the lead in starting a war and killing instantly. Until now, only a few large clans could still maintain peace on the 10,000 race battlefield. These large clans didn't make a move, and the other clans didn't want to attack either, so as not to get into trouble. This was also the difference between large clans and small clans. Large clans could only attack others, but they rarely had the chance to be attacked. In comparison, the small clans were much more chaotic. There were threats from large clans and also fights between small clans. This was also why, in just a few days, the killing of heaven and earth had condensed into a substance. Inside U City, the teleportation array kept flashing. One cultivator after another walked out from inside. These cultivators. There were players and local cultivators. The local cultivators were divided into three types. One was the disciples of Qinyuan Academy who came here on a mission. The other was the commoners who were involved in cultivation and were forcibly conscripted by the Qinyuan sacred ground. In addition to these, there was a third type. The third type was the cultivators who volunteered to go, hoping to take advantage of this opportunity to soar into the sky. The 10,000 race battlefield. For them, it was both a danger and an opportunity. In an inn, several players sat down. As soon as Chao Hong sat down, he asked the waiter on the side, "Waiter, do you have a menu?" "Yes, please wait a moment." The waiter immediately turned and left. Not long after, he came back with a menu. "Sir, please take a look." "Okay." Chao Hong reached out and took the menu, then casually flipped through it. His face suddenly turned green. Noticing that his face was ugly, the other players were curious and asked, "Brother Chao, what's wrong? Take a look for yourselves." Chao Hong didn't want to talk and directly handed the menu over. The other players took the menu and took a look. It didn't take long for their faces to turn gloomy. Qiu Qingqing slapped the table and shouted, "Shopkeeper, you're exaggerating. You charge me 1 silver coin for a steamed bun, and the lowest price for any dish is 1 silver coin. Are you running a black shop?" As she spoke, her beautiful eyes were filled with anger. A steamed bun outside was at most 1 silver coin, but here it was 100 times more expensive. Qiu Qingqing wasn't the only one who was angry. The others were also furious. Even if they wanted to rip off customers, They shouldn't do it like this. In response, the smile on the waiter's face didn't fade as he replied politely, Miss, you're exaggerating. Don't you think about where you are? This is the battlefield of the 10,000 races, and you city is the front line of the human race. If you open a shop here, you might be attacked by the army of the 10,000 races. We earn our hard-earned money, so it's normal for it to be a little more expensive. Moreover, our prices are the most fair. If you go to other shops, I'm afraid the prices won't be so cheap. Waiter, it's normal for it to be a little more expensive, but you increase the price by 100 times. This can't be explained by a little more. Lu Qinghong's face was gloomy as he said coldly, even if he was rich, he shouldn't be such a spendthrift. The waiter's smile faded a little, but his tone was still calm. Sorry, you get what you pay for. This can't be helped. Otherwise, the next time you come to the battlefield, you can prepare your own food. However, this is the price of food in the battlefield. Brother, let's go. Lu Qingqing stood up and said angrily. Lu Qinghong tugged at her, then looked at the waiter and said, Give me 10 steamed buns and 2 plates of this side dish. That's it. After saying that, he directly handed the menu back to her. Please wait a moment, sir. The waiter smiled and left. After he left, Lu Qingqing said unhappily, Why do we still have to come here to eat? This is clearly a scam. I'm afraid what he said is true. Look, there are many people in the shop. The battlefield of the 10,000 races is indeed bloody. There's a reason why it's expensive. Lu Qinghong shook his head. He could still afford a few taels of silver, but he was a little unhappy to spend it like this. However, no matter how unhappy he was, it had to be practical. Let's just go back to the eastern continent and prepare some food. It's too late to go back now. Lu Qinghong shook his head and said, The cost of teleporting back and forth can't be made up by the cost of food. Moreover, the storage ring can't hold so many things. Forget it, there's no need to be too calculative. Brother Lu is right. Chao Hong also nodded at this time. Seeing this, the other players couldn't say anything else. This time, their main purpose of entering the battlefield was to gain experience and level up. Now, there were no monsters to fight in the eastern continent. There were only those monsters coming and going. Now that there were more and more human cultivators, the monsters were decreasing day by day. As for the other continents, to be honest, every race had powerhouses guarding it. If players wanted to hunt weak cultivators, they would definitely be hunted down by those powerhouses. Sometimes, the experience gained from killing a few foreign cultivators was not as fast as the experience gained from dropping levels. Therefore, now, the 4 continents were unfriendly to all players. Only the opening of the battlefield gave these players hope of leveling up. Because the battlefield was chaotic, it was naturally a good place to kill monsters and level up. It was also easier for players to fish in troubled waters. Besides that, it was to earn merit points. At the same table, a male player complained, Emperor Qin is really ruthless. He cut off the source of our cultivation techniques. Without cultivation techniques, even if we have experience points, we can't level up. I really don't know how much hatred he has with us players. What hatred? How could he be so ruthless to the players? Chao Hong sighed helplessly. Emperor Qin has no choice. Tens of millions of players can't even take a trace of his HP. Even if it's a tyranny, he can only endure it. However, with the merit points, there's hope that we can get higher-level cultivation techniques. By the way, have you joined the Heavenly Alliance? You mean the mysterious organization that has gathered many people? Lu Qinghong looked surprised. Heavenly Alliance. How could he not have heard of it? This was an organization that had only emerged in the real world in recent years. It was said that it had existed thousands of years ago. It was only because of the Age of Doom that the Heavenly Alliance fell silent. Now that the spirit Qi had recovered, this ancient organization had reappeared. Could it be that Brother Chao has joined the Heavenly Alliance? That's right. Chao Hong nodded and said in a deep voice, According to my observation, the Heavenly Alliance might really be an ancient organization. There are many experts in it. Of course, this is not the main point. The main point is that there are many cultivation techniques in the Heavenly Alliance. There are even many divine realm cultivation techniques that can help one become a heavenly being. If we can get the cultivation techniques in the Heavenly Alliance, we can also cultivate in the game. This way, the problem of cultivation techniques can also be solved. Hearing that, everyone's spirits were lifted. Although they had not joined the Heavenly Alliance, they had heard of its power. If they could really join the Heavenly Alliance, it would be an excellent thing. Lu Qinghong's eyes flickered. So, Brother Chow can recommend us to join the Heavenly Alliance? Of course, you can join the Heavenly Alliance. However, there will be an assessment. If you can pass the assessment, you can become a member of the Heavenly Alliance. If you can't, then there's no way. What assessment? I don't know. Chow Hong shook his head and said, the assessment of the Heavenly Alliance is ever-changing. No one knows what the specific assessment is. As an official member of the Heavenly Alliance, I only have 5 recommendations. After 5 recommendations, it won't be so easy for me to recommend others to join the Heavenly Alliance. After that, Chow Hong had a faint smile on his face. Lu Qinghong raised his eyebrows. Just say it. What price do we have to pay? It's very simple. 100 merit points per recommendation. When you have enough merit points, trade them to me. I'll recommend you. Chow Hong stretched out a finger and said with a faint smile, 100 merit points. Hearing that, everyone's expression changed. A player frowned and said, 100 merit points is too much. Killing an alien in the spiritual martial realm only gives 10 merit points. Moreover, we have to bring the corpse back. The most troublesome thing to get merit points was, they had to bring the corpse back. Some alien corpses were huge. If they were to bring them back, they would undoubtedly be a big target. As for the storage ring, it might not be able to accommodate the alien corpses. If they did not bring the corpse back, they would not be able to get merit points. It could be said that 100 merit points was already considered a sky-high price. Chow Hong shook his head and said, 100 merit points are not expensive at all. In addition to cultivation methods, there are many ancient experts in the Heavenly Alliance. You can even pay some price to ask for guidance from those ancient experts. You should know very well how big the difference is between crossing the river by feeling the stones and having someone to guide you. There are ancient experts in the Heavenly Alliance? Everyone was stunned. Their understanding of the Heavenly Alliance was only superficial. Hearing that, Chow Hong looked proud. Of course, a heavenly being expert can live for thousands of years. The Age of Doom only lasted for thousands of years. It's not surprising that there are ancient experts. There are some things that I can't say too much about since you are not from the Heavenly Alliance. Anyway, the opportunity to enter the Heavenly Alliance is very rare. You can think about it yourselves. After that, he did not say anything else. Lu Qinghong and the others looked at each other. Obviously, they were considering the gains and losses of this matter. To this, Chow Hong was not in a hurry. Soon, the dishes were served. 2 simple side dishes and a pile of steamed buns. Lu Qinghong looked straight at Chow Hong and asked in a deep voice, I want to know why Brother Chow gave this opportunity to us? It's very simple. If the person who introduced you passes the assessment and successfully joins the Heavenly Alliance, you will be rewarded as the person who introduced you. Chow Hong did not hide this matter at all. In the face of Lu Qinghong's doubts, he said frankly, if the person who introduced you is not good, you will only lose a place. In my opinion, Brother Lu and the others are not weak and have a high probability of passing the assessment. Otherwise, do you think a place is really only worth 100 merit points? To this, Chow Hong sneered. The Heavenly Alliance was not just revived. Now it was slowly recovering, and there were more and more cultivators joining. Correspondingly, the conditions for entering the Heavenly Alliance had become stricter. Oh, someone wants to join the Heavenly Alliance again? It seems that it's quite close. The Blade Master took out the Heavenly Alliance Jade token and raised his eyebrows slightly. As the founder of the Heavenly Alliance, nothing that happened in the Heavenly Alliance could be hidden from his eyes and ears. During this period of time, the Blade Master had been traveling all over the world and constantly spreading the Heavenly Alliance Jade token. Then, he played the role of various peerless experts in the Heavenly Alliance and made the Heavenly Alliance look like an ancient force. Up until now, there were no less than 100,000 disciples in the Heavenly Alliance. It could be said that this force could be considered to have officially entered the Heavenly Alliance. The Blade Master glanced at the Heavenly Alliance Jade token and then replied to a message with a sock puppet. Leave the assessment to me. After replying to the message, he put away the Heavenly Alliance Jade token. Instinctively, the Blade Master also looked up at the sky. The rules were still densely packed there. However, it was different from before. The aura emitted from it was getting stronger and stronger. It's going to wake up completely. This is troublesome. I need to hurry. The Blade Master shook his head helplessly. Thinking of this, he could not help but complain. It's not up to me to decide whether it's fast or not. Forget it. I'll take one step at a time. If it really can't be done, I'll retreat first. Otherwise, if the Heavenly Tao notices, I'll really die here. Everyone was afraid of death. The Blade Master was the same. Moreover, it was meaningless to die at this time. He took out the token and glanced at it. The cracks on the token were increasing day by day. The more the Heavenly Tao wakes up, the less time it can resist. The Blade Master shook his head and sighed. I told him to refine the token better. If he insists on refining a half-finished, heavenly deceiving token, it won't be effective at all. That was what he said. However, the Blade Master also knew how difficult it was to refine the real heavenly deceiving token, not to mention the complete heavenly deceiving token. Even a half-finished heavenly deceiving token was extremely difficult to refine. As for the imitation, it was not difficult to refine, but it was also useless. He put away the token. The Blade Master took out a mask from the storage ring and put it on. Then, he followed the Heavenly Alliance Jade token's guidance and walked toward one of the directions. Anyone who wanted to join the Heavenly Alliance had to undergo an assessment. The assessment system was set by the Blade Master himself. The purpose was to make the Heavenly Alliance look more like an ancient force, or else it would be meaningless if everyone could join the Heavenly Alliance casually. As for the people taking the assessment, some were done by the Blade Master himself, while others were done by an old man. Anyway, it was more or less the same. It was purely a formality. In the Qianyuan realm, Qin Shujian kept the Qianyuan sacred ground in check. Now, all the attention of the myriad races was on the battlefield. So, the four continents were much calmer now. Qin Shujian was not in a hurry. He could now see the growth of his life source every day. As long as he had enough time, he could improve his strength. According to the current trend, I can break through to the 9th level of the celestial being in about 2 years. If everything goes well, this time can be brought forward, Qin Shujian thought to himself. It was already very fast to reach the 9th level of the celestial being in 2 years. In other words, under normal circumstances, in 5 years, he could break through to the 10th level of the celestial being and officially cultivate the Guiyuan Ancestral Classic to perfection. Once the Guiyuan Ancestral Classic was perfected, Qin Shujian felt that he had the confidence to flip the table. Let's wait a little longer. He was not in a hurry. It would still be a long time before the demonic abyss arrived. At most, after he broke through to the 10th level of the celestial being, he would directly destroy all the races except for the human race and harvest a wave of life source. But when that time came, the human race would probably have to stake everything on this one throw. He shook his head. Qin Shujian took out a jade talisman and read the message inside. This was a message from the battlefield. No forces are attacking the human race. Could it be that Empress Zhao and I were too ruthless and made these races fear us? Qin Shujian frowned. This wasn't good news. If the myriad races did not attack, how could the human race train their troops? If the human race did not train their troops, how could they harvest more life source? However, Qin Shujian also knew that the biggest problem of the current Qianyuan sacred ground was the lack of top powerhouses. There had to be top powerhouses. There was no need for the Qianyuan sacred ground to focus on defense. They could take the initiative to attack other races. However, because of the lack of top powerhouses, there was no possibility of implementing this plan. Even if there was one more fire sage, it would not be of much use. After all, Fire Sage was only a cultivator in the 8th level of the celestial being. Moreover, the only powerhouse that the Qinyuan sacred ground could bring out now was Fire Sage. As for Ji Zhou and Wushan, they had temporarily left the East Continent. Looking at the small races, although they were not strong, there were still a few powerhouses. This was a comparison. The Qinyuan sacred ground was a little weak. Qin Shujian said, "Senior, if I let you enter the battlefield, would it be considered a violation of the oath?" "Of course," Godslayer said angrily. "I have already recognized you as my master. To a certain extent, there is no difference between me and you. If you want me to go and kill those powerhouses of the foreign races, I can. As long as you can deal with the Thunder Tribulation, it will be fine. Otherwise, don't think about taking advantage of this loophole. After all, you are not from your previous life." In the end, Godslayer added in his heart, if he wanted to not be afraid of the Thunder Tribulation, he had to surpass the rules. In his opinion, as an existence above the rules in his previous life, Qin Shujian was qualified to ignore the Thunder Tribulation. But now, it was better to stay put. The Thunder Tribulation. Qin Shujian sighed. This was a difficult problem. Godslayer could not make a move, which meant that the Heaven List could not make a move either. Unless, if he removed the Master Mark, then there would be no problem. But whether it was for Zhu Bing or the Heaven List, it was impossible to remove the Master Mark. After thinking about it, Qin Shujian found that he was really just a spectator. 2 days later, the mother stream of laws shook. The vast mother stream of laws appeared between heaven and earth. Such a change. Naturally, it attracted the attention of all the powerhouses. Someone is going to attain the Tao. Qin Shujian looked up and saw the scene outside through the sky of the Qinyuan realm. An emperor had attained the Tao. This was not a strange thing. After all, there were so many 10th-level celestial beings in the 4 major continents. It was normal for someone to attain the Tao and become an immortal by chance. However, Qin Shujian sensed a familiar aura from the mother stream of precepts. Could it be? His heart skipped a beat. Then, he saw a long stream of laws break out from the mother stream and spread towards the sky. A person walked out of the mother stream of laws. Every step he took was blocked by the phantom of a powerhouse. But in front of the other party, they were blasted to pieces. It is indeed the Dog Emperor. Seeing the appearance of that person, Qin Shujian had a faint smile on his face. The Dog Emperor had attained the Tao. This was unexpected, but it was also within reason. The other party was already a Nirvana powerhouse. Attaining the Tao was just a matter of chance and coincidence. The opportunity had arrived. Naturally, he could attain the Tao. If the opportunity did not arrive, he would not be able to take this step. Looking at the Dog Emperor in the sky, Qin Shujian was not too worried. According to the alliance agreement with the 9-headed dog clan, the Dog Emperor had attained the Tao. The human race had to help, but the problem was, if no one blocked the Tao, then there was no need for the human race to help. The probability of blocking the Tao shouldn't be too high. Qin Shujian thought to himself. The current situation was different from before. The various clans had an agreement to focus on the battlefield. If the Dog Emperor attained the Tao, the other clans might not stop him. However, Qin Shujian was sure of one thing. If he was the one who attained the Tao, the myriad clans would make a move no matter what. Because he, who had not attained the Tao, was already feared by the myriad clans. If he, the Qin Emperor, attained the Tao, as long as the myriad clans were not stupid, they would definitely make a move. At this moment, all the powerhouses of the 4 continents had their attention on the Dog Emperor. For those cultivators who had not attained the Tao and become immortals, to be able to observe the powerhouses attaining the Tao, it was also a rare opportunity. He is still 1 step ahead of others. Earth Emperor shook his head with a regretful expression. His strength was not weaker than the Dog Emperor. Everyone was in the Nirvana realm and was only 1 step away from becoming an immortal. However, the Dog Emperor was still ahead of him. Once the other party succeeded, the difference in strength between the 2 sides would be like heaven and earth. Below, an elder said, the Dog Emperor might not succeed in attaining the Tao, It is also possible that he failed. No, as long as no one obstructs the Tao, with the Dog Emperor's foundation, it is impossible for him to fail. As for obstructing the Tao, Earth Emperor sneered. Who do you think will still make a move to stop the Dog Emperor from attaining the Tao? The Dog Emperor was an ally of the human race. The Dog Emperor attained the Tao. The human race had no reason to stand by and do nothing. Not to mention the existence of the battlefield. If someone really made a move, they would have to consider how many true immortals they would have to send to stop the human powerhouses. As for personally making a move, there was also the risk of dying. Naturally, no one was willing to do it. And the sealed true immortals, even if the various clans still had them, they were not many. At this moment, the myriad clans were unusually calm. In the sky, the Dog Emperor had already opened up the battlefield. But until now, no one had made a move to stop him. Because everyone knew that the Dog Emperor was not alone, and he had the backing of the human race. If a true immortal blocked the Tao, there would definitely be a human powerhouse who would make a move. However, there were also powerhouses who hoped that someone could stop the Dog Emperor from attaining the Tao, because this way, the strength of the human race would be weakened by a lot. Time passed bit by bit. The Dog Emperor had already walked through more than half of the battlefield, but there was still no obstruction. All of a sudden, blood clouds surged in the sky. Two ancient true immortals walked out from the South Continent and the North Continent and directly barged into the battlefield, wanting to stop the Dog Emperor from attaining the Tao. After so long of silence, in the end, some clans could not help but make a move. It was also at this moment, a vast law rose from the human race and directly broke into the law battlefield. Emperor Zhao walked out from the East Continent and entered the battlefield. Emperor Zhao. The Dog Emperor was excited. Emperor Zhao looked at the two true immortals blocking his way and said calmly, Dog Emperor, just focus on attaining the Tao. Ben Huang will take care of the rest. Thank you. The Dog Emperor cupped his hands and thanked him. Then, he took a deep breath and continued forward. When the two true immortals blocking his way saw this, killing intent appeared in their eyes. In the next moment, they directly attacked. Boom! The power tore the sky and earth apart, wanting to swallow the Dog Emperor in one fell swoop. Emperor Zhao flicked his sleeves. Tens of thousands of feet of wind shattered the vacuum, causing a monstrous wave to rise in the battlefield, engulfing the two true immortals. P.S. Support the original Chidian Chinese networks. I'm really decent. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.